How many times do you need to clear your throat? I like to get in the night. I like to get in that deeper,
That's why I drink coffee.
Grumbly. Can I have a swig? In all seriousness.
Yes, of course. You can have a cup. There's none left, but I will go make you some. You don't like it hot, do you? I'm so hoping you just drop that and spill it all over the electronics. I don't know why. This is weird.
Hello, friends, and welcome to an unexpected podcast. I'm Ez.
And I'm Lane.
And we're talking Tolkien.
We're coming to you from the Shire of America, the beautiful state of Ohio, in a little village called Amanda.
And it's late.
It's late or early, depending on
Right.
what shift you're working.
It's great,
11 to 7. Dude, I'm surprisingly awake for this time of the day.
Me too.
Or the night.
Well, we just
feeling inspired.
goes a little bit of that coffee, and I'm feeling pretty good too.
Yeah.
So
got a little Joe in us. A little Java.
So this is episode 3.
Yeah.
3 is company. And we're back at it again.
Yeah. We got Suzanne Summers in the studio with us.
Right. Thank God.
Yeah. John Ritter. Force Ghost.
Oh, Jesus. There we go.
Great show.
Right. So we always start off with a little quick counsel, just kind of getting to talking about things that have happened in life.
Catching up with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't get to talk during the setup because, well, I'm going to enlighten our friends in the book club that Ez doesn't like to set up and talk at the same time. So I like that personal touch and that communication, and he just doesn't appreciate conversation at that point of the day. So really the only time we have time to sit down and have a moment is during quick counsel.
It's right now. And you're all bitter about it. Good grief.
Well,
no, actually,
I think I have every
to right to be mad. Seriously?
I mean, let's put a poll out on Facebook.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's try it.
Is Lane allowed to be mad at me while I set up the equipment and not talk to him? No, just guys. Today,
I think I'll have a lot of people on my side.
Today, Lane actually set up cameras today, and so I was well set up before the cameras were ready to go.
I did take a long time today,
but
I'm sorry for that.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm just teasing you. But what's been going on though? What's been happening?
So paternity leave is over, so I'm back to school now.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely missing my girls at home. Just recently watched this just different random. Just recently watched Lion finally. Have you seen Lion?
No.
Oh my gosh, dude. There was no tissues, toilet paper, or soft dry surfaces left in our house.
Really?
I cried so hard. It is one of the
Is it a movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of those. It was up for all kinds of awards last year. Dev Patel, the dude from Slumdog Millionaire.
Okay.
Nicole Kidman, David Wenham.
Right. Okay.
Who plays Faramir? Played Faramir. It's and this little boy named Sonny, who's an Indian child actor. Dude, it makes me want to adopt every Indian kid. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Over 80,000 children go unaccounted for or missing in India every year.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So starting the show on a high note, but seriously, it's actually a really good story. I mean, it's a true story.
Or something,
it's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's a true story. It's very inspiring, and it just makes it puts everything in perspective.
Right.
Like problems that you think you have, they're not really problems, unless you're living this kid's life, I guess, or something like it. Then yeah. But beautiful story. Beautiful story.
Yeah.
It makes you want to do something greater with your life, like a Tolkien podcast.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much. I'm not even joking, but yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, that's cool. I've been looking.
What's up with you, man?
Well, I've been looking for some
new stuff
on Netflix. Right. So if anybody has any recommendations, let me know. The Crown. I know we mentioned The Crown.
Crown's great.
I've only watched 2 episodes of that, so I haven't really got into it yet.
Yeah,
but
Ezra's not a fan of The Crown.
No, I mean I am. I just haven't really.
Old Yankee Doodle over
really
there.
Into it yet. You know what I have been looking up though?
Have you seen?
What's that?
I was gonna say Black Mirror. Have you seen Black Mirror?
No.
I think Black Mirror would be up your alley.
Well,
just look it up. Watch it.
Okay.
It's awesome.
All right. Sounds like you're sending me down a dark I don't know. Just sounds ominous. I don't know. Is it about a horse?
No, I'm giving you telepathic messages.
Okay.
About a horse.
Yeah.
Do we have history with the horse?
I have no idea.
Of a different color?
Maybe.
We'll
be talking about that later.
What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
What I was going to say was I've been looking up. Isn't there like a conference coming up, like a Comic-Con conference in Indianapolis? Where
old Sean Astin's going to be there.
Is he going to be there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that coming up soon or?
It is coming up. Yeah, what in like April maybe or March? Okay.
Because I was looking ahead. Because actually, you sent me a link, I think, and I was looking into it. And then actually, Tiffany from Swish and Flick was like, "Are you guys going to this?" And I was like,
"Kind of awesome."
Because it's not that far from us.
No, it's 3 hours.
Yeah. So I was like,
Indianapolis is not that far.
Cool idea.
The only bummer is I know that he's great with fans, and I think we got to meet him. And I mean, I know he's contacted us about wanting to be on the show,
right,
with an interview,
right.
No, he hasn't. Full disclosure, he actually has not done that. But we were hoping someday that Sean Astin can come on here and tell us about Lord of the Rings and his career. That'd be we'd be honored, Sean, if you're listening. But I've heard like he was supposed to come to Indianapolis last year or the previous time it was there, and something got messed up in his schedule. He wasn't able to make it.
Really?
And so that's a huge bummer. But I'd be willing to take the risk, even if he can't make it for whatever. I don't care the reason.
There's always a lot of good stuff at those things.
Yeah.
So that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what's up with me. I mean, basically just, not much.
It's wintertime, man.
It is. There's not much going on.
It's hard. And we have talked before about how I love when winter is cold and snowy.
Right.
Dark sometimes even.
Snowed under.
I don't mind it. Snowed under, baby. Right. Let's bring it on. I like that because that's what winter's supposed to be. It doesn't make it any easier.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that sounds good. So let's hop into, we're always looking ahead at the Amazon TV show.
Always.
Yeah, because we're kind of excited about it, and it's what's hot out there right now. So
it's just a carrot. It's a carrot out there.
Yeah.
It's hope on the horizon.
Absolutely.
That's a good name for a podcast. We should start a Lord of the Rings podcast. Hope on the horizon.
I'm not ready for the...
No.
That's not happening now, is it?
Not yet. No.
Okay, cool. All right. No. So what news do you have, Lane? What do we got?
Yeah. So an unnamed TV and film exec quoted. I'm just going to read the quote. Mm-hmm. You take for it whatever you want to. It is impossible to write off Amazon because its business is so multifaceted. Amazon's business model is different from other streaming services. The Tolkien deal dwarfs... Interesting choice of words there. This young man or old man is clearly with it. Dwarfs anything in the realm of what Netflix would ever be able to spend on a single franchise.
Wow. Okay.
I think Amazon will overtake Netflix on numbers, a creep rather than a revolution, and Disney has the brands and is making moves. So this is just kind of a commentary on...
Just the idea that Amazon would have it over Netflix.
And so, I mean, I think if you go back to... our first episode, I think it was the first Reread episode where we first started doing...
Chapter 1?
Yep, news. I was kind of on the fence about like Netflix, HBO, Hulu even, not winning it, or not securing the Lord of the Rings TV show, and Amazon instead securing the show.
Right.
It just had me a little... I was like, I don't know. I mean, I love... There's a lot of Netflix shows I love, a lot of Hulu originals I love, and HBO makes... great shows.
Right, yeah.
So I was a little worried about that just because I'm like, I don't know, can Amazon, will they deliver? I know they have good shows, but they also have shows that no one's ever heard of. So this really put my reason I want to show this is it kind of puts my anxiety at ease. I feel better. I think it's in good hands.
Right. Well, you do need, I think, the money to do this, right? Okay. And money is important, but something interesting, you got to get the right people because Netflix got some good directors in there. I mean, and surprise some people with some maybe even low budget creativity stuff that they've done. So
and Netflix does a great job of working with directors and studios and stuff that already exist.
Yeah, true.
And they fund it and they do what they're going to do anyway.
That's true.
So, and I think it's going to be good. I think it's I don't know. It's primed.
Yeah, sorry.
To explode. You get Prime, Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that was bad.
That was delayed.
Even more exciting than that, executives calming of my anxiety. This is sick, dude. If I could yell into the microphone, I would. I'm not going red though. I'm still green, which is good.
You're still green, which is good. Yes.
This is big news. Gandalf is DTR, my friend. And Gandalf is down to return.
Okay. Right.
Okay. In talking about the show here.
Right.
So recently, on the Graham Norton show, he's kind of like Britain's main like nighttime personality.
Right.
He's like their Johnny Carson. So Ian McKellen was on there, and he was asked about, how do you feel about being replaced by a younger actor for the show? Because the show news had just broke. And Ian McKellen said, "What do you mean another Gandalf? I haven't said yes because I haven't been asked. But are you suggesting someone else is going to play it? Who would be suitable?"
Right.
Gandalf is over 7,000 years old, so I'm not too old. Dude,
that's epic.
He's amazing because what he's doing here is he's making a commentary about like, I'm not too old. What are you talking about? Gandalf he's an old guy, could still play him. But he's also, so this could be total sarcasm, but I think he's also down, man. I think he's open. So that's pretty cool because Gandalf is definitely someone who could provide that star power and provide one of our main heroes that kind of weaves in and out of another storyline even.
Right.
Maybe he makes an appearance for an episode or 5 minutes or half of a season, and he just comes and goes as Gandalf does, and it's that familiar touchstone for us that almost makes the series work, I guess.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be all about him. So Ian McKellen wouldn't have to, before he's had to dedicate like months and months and months, like 16 months and 11 straight months of filming to Lord of the Rings for a show. He wouldn't have to do that.
That's right.
And depending on where they film, he wouldn't even have to leave England if he didn't want to. So that's pretty, I'm excited about that. So that's really kind of the big news with Amazon.
That'd be unreal. That'd be really sick.
Right. I also think it'd be cool. I wanted to get your idea on this because you love Gandalf. I love Gandalf too, but yours are with a different passion, my friend. How do you feel about another actor taking on either another elderly actor? I don't know if that's the right term. Veteran actor taking on the role of Gandalf, or us seeing Gandalf as a younger wizard. And how does that work?
Right. I would be cool if they did something where, I don't know how they would do it. I think when they were sent, right, they came under the guise of wizened.
My question, and that was my question: did he ever look young?
No, I don't know actually. I believe that. I think they came at what that was the idea. They were sort of.
They've always been physically old looking.
Right, they're meant to be a guide by the side, and so not necessarily out in the front leading. I don't know. So
yeah.
Not that they don't, but it's just it's like that would be really it would be interesting to see that, or even before they're sent. I doubt they would do anything like that, but man, that'd
maybe
be
somewhere down the line,
flashbacks to it or something.
Yeah, dude,
that'd be kind of cool.
So cool stuff, very cool stuff. Thank you, Ian McKellen, for dropping that nugget. That's got us wondering.
Right,
the Tolkien biopic called Tolkien is finished. It's wrapped. They're in post-production. There's no new news there.
Okay.
Keep us updated. If you find something out about the Tolkien film that we've just missed, let us know about that. Same with the show. If you have heard some kind of, I don't even care. Do we care if it's true or rumor? Not at all. Please send us anything that you're coming across too, because we want to continue this conversation and have your input as well.
And also theories. I would love to get into theories as to what they're going to do. Yeah. And new characters and things like that.
Yeah. Because something I've found too is I can have my own theories and ideas about what's going to happen, but it's pretty limited until I hear other people's ideas. Once I hear other people's ideas too, it like just kind of piggybacks on theirs, and then I come up with another idea, and then I'll hear your idea, and it just helps.
Absolutely.
Make it. Builds it even bigger.
Right.
Okay, cool. That's all I have for show news and dropping eaves, my friend.
That's fine. That's rumors. Good. I like it. That's some good stuff. So next we jump into our Middle Earth calendar here. We today in Middle Earth got a few dates here. I think the last time we left you was the 20. Is that right?
23rd, 24th of January.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
It was.
So that's actually when we're.
So this one's spoiler. So if this is the first time reading it and you want to be unimpeded, close your ears for a second.
Right. Yeah.
Gandalf continues to pursue the Balrog to the peak of Zorak-Zagil. Then the next day, on January 25th, Gandalf casts the Balrog from the mountain, but passes away afterwards. His body lies on the peak. Mm-hmm. Then 3 days later, never mind. 3 days later, on January 28th, the Fellowship rests in Lothlorien. And then February 14th, good old Valentine's Day. I don't know if they celebrate that in Middle-earth. Here's another spoiler, the second half of this, so close your ears if you don't want to hear it. In Lothlorien, we have the Mirror of Galadriel with Frodo and Sam and Galadriel. And then Gandalf returns to life and lies in a trance.
Right.
Magical, dude.
That's some good times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Which we'll be getting there.
Yeah.
Kind of neat that where we've started this podcast and then like where the Fellowship is, in Middle-earth to kind of think about where they're at, and then we're coming up behind them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Almost like we're tracking them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We are.
So
that's right. Their pace is quickening.
Yes,
they
it
must
is.
have called us end. Wait, should we? Now,
what?
We're gonna have a lot of fun with this chapter. This chapter was a blast. We're not gonna tell you specifically what we're gonna do. Ezra, can I just share for a second that Ezra's bookmark is a flathead screwdriver?
Yeah. So what? I mean, what's the big deal? Like, I'll show the camera.
I was telling him before, I feel kind of nervous because I don't know if I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this have seen Secret Window. It's a pretty popular Johnny Depp film based on a Stephen King short story.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a dude dies by getting one of those through his temple. So I'm a little nervous if Ez snaps or just, I don't know, loses his cool for a second. It's pretty late at night.
Right. Don't worry. We're good.
Okay.
I'm feeling good.
Okay. I trust you.
I'm not too angry yet at anything that's happened in the chapter. I mean, there's going to be some, in Three's company here. There's some good stuff. There's some scary moments.
Dude, it is, and
intense.
Maybe apt that we're talking about a scary film because there are moments in here that are straight up horror film, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like they and the way he, just the way Tolkien describes them and the way they kind of creep up on you. Even it affects you.
Right, it does. It does.
It's amazing.
Right.
It's amazing. Yeah.
All right, so...
you want to dig into it?
Yeah, this is the reread. Here we go, baby.
Three's company.
All right. We have a recap, and just a quick plug again, if you ever want to write one of these recaps for us or write a summary, hit us up on Patreon, let us know, and we'll take your recap, we'll put it in there, and we'll read it.
Little golf clap for that idea. I think it's a great idea.
And a great idea. I just feel like
Congrats to you, sir.
It's a way to get more members of the book club involved, and
And we can hear there. Yeah, and it's also interesting, too, because people summarize and recap things very differently.
Right.
And so it'll be cool to get people's voices in here. So it's not just our perspective every time. It's our club's perspective.
Yeah, you could do it.
I love that.
You could do it in different tones, with
you could do it as a character.
That's right. That'd be a good one. That's a good one. I like that. That's good.
You could do it as us. You could pretend to be one of us.
Wow.
Which is a scary thought.
That is scary.
I pretend to be myself all the time. So the recap, where we are so far. Hobbiton is enduring all the queerness it can handle. Oh, I like the way you said that.
Right.
The hobbits are consumed by talk of mad baggins, walking elms, and rumors about strange folk traveling through the Shire. Frodo learns the ring that he inherited is not a lesser ring, and not just a great ring, but that his ring is the one ring to rule them all. Gandalf and Frodo devise a plan to get the ring to safety.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's where that was a long podcast. We took our time in that.
It was,
and there's some deep and sweaty stuff in there. Lots of lore in that episode.
You had to get deep in talk.
Yeah.
To use Gandalf's own words, you had to get deep in talk to understand what's going on there. And really, I think just out of respect for the work Tolkien put into it, you got to take at least 2.5 hours to talk about it, right? I mean,
you do. There's just so many references and stuff and allusions to his own work.
We could have even gone deeper.
We could have.
We could have spent more time there, but yeah.
I know.
It was good.
It's epic. That's why we always look for that thread to kind of see what else we missed on Facebook, just to kind of see other connections and
other people's viewpoints. It's great. Very enlightening.
Yeah. All right. So our summary for chapter 3, Three is company. Frodo and his company set out for Crick Hollow Cottage in Buckland.
Yeah.
All right. So I love Crick Hollow Cottage, right?
Me too.
All right. Along the way, they sing songs inspired by Bilbo, and they enjoy the countryside. Mm-hmm. Right?
It's a good time.
Yeah, it starts off.
It really is.
And what's crazy is that there's a little bit of a contrast right there, right in the beginning of this chapter compared to the end of the last chapter.
Yeah, right.
We're still happy because Sam joined. We know Sam's going to go with us, but right before that, boy, Frodo was in a panic.
Dark
place.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of levity happening. We're not as ominous, as before.
Right. But not long into their journey, they encounter a black rider or riders. As
good
Pippin
point.
mentions.
Yes.
The hobbits hide, and Frodo fights the urge to use the ring. The riders
Frodo's tested.
Oh, he is absolutely
right off the bat.
He is tested, and he's tested more than once. Actually, I mentioned here just the one time, but he's tested multiple times. The riders continue to pursue them until a band of elves pass their way. The elves find it curious that 3 hobbits are abroad at night. They allow the hobbits to travel with them to Woodhall.
Yeah.
So, and then I didn't want to really talk about the end because I think that's the juicy part. So, of this chapter.
Yeah.
So, we'll get into it. There we go.
Yeah, that's our summary. We're going to dive deep and get into the details and fill up the corners.
Fill up the corners. Yeah, that's right.
Pretty good.
Let's
you got
talk
room
about
for it? You got room for the corners
I got room,
to be filled?
Man. I'm ready to go.
Got some strawberries and cream in you?
More than enough. Let's talk about let's break this down into, we have leaving Bag End. Okay, that's our first third. I've divided this one into thirds for us. It's not that it's a shorter chapter. It's just, like we said, it's more narration. It's more, or what's the word? There's just
exposition
more,
almost.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Details and scenery and stuff like that. Our second one, what did I say here? I said leave. Ooh.
Did you feel like this? Okay, the last 2 chapters there was a lot of I felt like we were, well, obviously this is dumb or silly. I feel like you really were transported to being in that room in Bag End and just as overwhelmed as Frodo was.
Yeah.
Right, with all this information overload. And this really, even the way it's written and the way you take it in, you feel like you're just kind of out on the open road. There are lulls between conversation. There's times where you're singing, times where you're not talking at all, times where you're eating, times when you're washing your face with ice cold water, and times where visitors come past, or you're not sure who you're going to meet on the road.
That's a really good point. So
I really felt like I was on a road with them. I don't know. It's the way he crafted the chapter too, I think.
That's exactly right. Because, when you're in the moment, you're blowing up a moment where like a wizard is revealing that this is the one ring of power. You kind of slow it down and you stop and you start to kind of look at what was said, the dialogue, a twitch of an eyebrow.
It creates an analytical reader.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is more of a...
Well, and we're on long walks, so we have longer passages, paragraphs of... detailed descriptions of what's happening around them.
I'm consuming more here. I'm more of I feel like a traveler. I'm looking at the countryside with the hobbits, taking it in, not having to think so much necessarily, right?
Yeah.
I'm reacting more. In the previous chapters, I'm, like you said, we're analyzing everything. We're digging in, trying to figure out what is actually going on, the larger significance of what's being said, the backstory. Whereas here, it's... Okay, here you go. So in the previous chapters, it's the road behind.
Yeah.
And in this chapter, it's the world ahead.
Right.
We're moving in, and it's happening now. We're walking this adventure. We're not talking about other people's adventures anymore. We're beginning our own.
That's interesting. Yeah. You're right. We've stepped out the door.
Yes.
We've been swept away. Right. And
no telling where you may be.
That's right.
Swept off to, my friend.
So we'll start with leaving Bag End.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I totally sidetracked you there.
You're fine. And then we'll hop onto the road, and then at the end we'll talk with some wood elves.
Yeah.
So
beautiful.
So just those 3 categories for us today. Frodo, in leaving Bag End here, he makes plans to leave Hobbiton. So
this is sad, isn't this?
Yeah, this is a little somber. I mean, but he has to, right? I mean, and he's subtle in how he does this. He doesn't want to just, disappear or vanish.
And Gandalf says it wouldn't be wise to.
No, it would not be.
He advises him not to just disappear, because then what would happen? He says, "I said soon, not instantly."
Right. Yeah.
I love how, dude. People are always misinterpreting Gandalf, but he's always quick to say, That's not what I said.
Right.
I didn't say what you're accusing me of. I didn't say right away.
Right.
I said soon.
Right.
Not
Exactly.
immediately.
Yeah.
So check yourself, man.
Right. I didn't call you a thief. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's great.
But Frodo decides here, and this is what's great about this is that Tolkien made a decision here. We're so happy that we got to spite the Sackville Bagginses, right?
Yeah.
Lobelia and what's his name?
Otho.
Yeah. So now we have to sell it, right?
Yeah.
We have to sell Bag End, and we have to move to Crick Hollow in the country beyond Buckleberry.
Yeah.
So this is hard, but we have to sell it, and I think it's he even has to endure some of these rumors that maybe he's running out of money.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's sort of hard, but he doesn't correct the rumors or anything like that.
No.
It's just sort of the idea.
It's almost like I think he kind of welcomes those rumors. Because hey, that rumor is not, he's got a magic ring. He's got the ring of power. He's running out of money. Sure, fine. If that's what you want to think, that's cool. That would keep inquisitors off my trail.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what he's afraid of too, is there's people that are inquiring about him as the chapter moves on.
Absolutely. Yeah, they are. And so you might wonder, right there at the end, we were of the last chapter of chapter 2, we're talking about what to do. And we said here in our recap, I think just sort of their idea was to keep the ring or to move the ring to a safer place. Okay. So I thought I'd just read a little bit. We are going to do more reading, I think, in this chapter. Yeah. It's just a free-flowing sort of read some of these paragraphs.
I've got a lot of stuff underlined.
Cool.
Because it spoke to me big time.
So just real quick as we get to why we're going and where we're going, towards danger, but not too rashly, nor too straight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And answered the wizard, "If you want my advice, make for Rivendell. That journey should not prove too perilous, though the road is less easy than it was, and it will grow worse as the year fails."
And it's interesting too. Before that too, they're talking about. So that's talking about where he should go with the ring, and before it's when should he go, how long should he wait?
Oh yeah,
right. And Gandalf even says it will be worth a little bit of a delay.
Yeah.
So it's worth it to wait, but not too long. Right. You can't delay too long. And that's when Frodo says, "Okay, what about in the autumn when I leave for my birthday?" And remember, this is April that they're having this conversation.
Yep.
So he's talking about waiting 5 months.
Right.
Which seems like to me in different eras, right?
Right.
Shire time and Middle Earth time is different from our time. I think 5 months, I'm like, dang, dude, that's 4 months and 3 weeks way too long. But here, 5 months is a reasonable time, right? So he's got it planned. I'm gonna wait until my birthday, or our birthday is what he calls it. He doesn't call it my birthday; he calls it our birthday.
Right.
And even though he said, he feels reluctant to start, he feels that at that time, because he knows how he gets in the autumn, that he'll be more eager to go. Because that's the time Bilbo left, and that's the time he wants to go on his adventure. So
he's had that feeling before, and so I think you're right. Yep. That's a really good call.
Yep.
So we've talked about time, we've talked about when to leave, and now we're talking about where to go. That being Rivendell, right? So, let's see. So one summer's evening, an astonishing piece of news reached the Ivy Bush and Green Dragon. This is kind of funny. Giants and other portents on the border of the Shire were forgotten for far more important matters.
Yeah.
Right? This is,
I got it underlined too.
Right? I mean, so Mr. Frodo was selling Bag End.
Yep.
I mean, I just thought that was kind of cool. That it's more important than giants and trolls and, strangers.
The Dark Shadow.
Right.
Yeah. It's funny. And then it says, indeed, it's already been sold to who? Of all people. Of all hobbits, the Sackville Bagginses.
Right.
For a nice bit too, said some. At a bargain price, said others. And that's more likely when Mistress Lobelia is the buyer. And we learn here that Otho had died.
Right. Yeah.
So Otho never got to see it.
Right.
But really, it's Lobelia who's obsessed with it anyway. So.
Right.
Yeah. And that's where you get the rumors. Frodo's money's running out. He's going down to Buckland with all his weird relations. Right. They're weird over there, close to the old forest. They're nuts.
Oh yeah.
And they again, they say to most it suggested a dark and yet unrevealed plot by Gandalf
Right. Yeah.
Gosh,
it's always
dude.
Gandalf's fault. Right.
Crucifying Gandalf yet again.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
and they say that he's hiding up in Bag End because Gandalf stays with them for a bit.
he does.
And they say he's hiding there, and he only comes out at night, and he's not making his presence, keeping it as low profile as possible. Stays there for over 2 months.
He does, actually. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And what's interesting is what he's hiding there, and I wonder if he would have stayed all that time if it weren't. He got this. He got anxious, right, about some news in the south, and then he
doesn't necessarily. He doesn't tell Frodo.
Right. No, he doesn't tell him
he heard.
what he knew. No, he does not.
Right.
Probably doesn't want to frighten him, or maybe he's unsure himself.
Can I ask you something?
So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Could I pay you to live in Bag End during that time? What would the mood be like after Gandalf drops all these bombs and then he just sticks around for a couple months? Wow. I mean, are you doing some heavy drinking?
Well, what are they talking about?
Are you smoking pipe weed? Right.
You know,
are they talking at all? Like what would you, that would be a strained 2 months, I would think. Mm-hmm. Plus Gandalf isn't going out. He's dug back in a room, just kind of, I don't know, smoking and like envisioning the future. I don't know what he's doing, deep in wisdom or something, or consulting himself, or maybe he is talking to Frodo this whole time, a contingency
plan also. Maybe if this plan doesn't work.
It's a long time to be sitting around. Right. Like, it's very interesting. Yeah. And then how does he hear this news? That's the other thing I want to know. It just says that he hears news.
Right.
How did he hear it?
Right. And that takes me back to the last chapter where he said that he has the Shire was being protected and there were people on the borders.
So maybe he had an informant that came and let him know about something that was going on. Maybe he slipped in during the night when no one's watching. Yeah.
So it said that Gandalf stayed in the Shire for over 2 months. Then one evening at the end of June, soon after Frodo's plan had been finally arranged, he suddenly announced that he was going off again next morning.
Yep.
Only for a short while, I hope, he said, but I'm going down beyond the southern borders to get some news if I can. I've been idle longer than I should.
Yeah.
So he doesn't like to stay, in one place too long.
I'm sure it's making him uneasy.
Right. Yeah. He needs to keep moving, so he's hearing the whispers and he can see the movement himself. Of Middle Earth.
And you're right too. I think he was staying there for Frodo. That was it. He was trying to make Frodo feel more calm and probably easy.
Drop something like that, I don't think, on
just
Frodo and just disappear. I bet you they hashed it out over and over.
Probably. Maybe they were having conversations every night. Yeah. And maybe he was even preparing him for what he might face.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think that there would have to be something going on. There's some kind of...
There's a reassuring presence
lessons.
too, just of him just even being there,
I think it's interesting too. It says right after that, it's so crazy. You're underlining stuff and I'm underlining right after that. Mm-hmm. We're like, filling in the gaps for each other.
Yeah.
At first, Frodo was a good deal disturbed and wondered often what Gandalf would have heard. And this is just so funny. This is just like hobbits. But his uneasiness wore off, and in the fine weather, he forgot his troubles for a while, which maybe is probably it's definitely a good thing, right? He takes his mind off of it for a little bit. He's going to be on this journey. He doesn't need to think about it anymore, than he has to. And so he enjoys his time, right? A fair summer and so rich in autumn, right? He takes it easy. The trees laden down with apples, honey was dripping in the combs, and the corn was tall and full. So he enjoys his hobbit life for a little bit. He's about to embark on this journey, and maybe, in his mind, he says this, I might never come back.
Right.
I might never come back. So it's good that he has this moment where he can step back and enjoy the wealth of the Shire.
That's a really good
richness.
Point. It's a good thing he didn't have to just up and then, leave like we see in the movie. Yeah. It's much more like he had time.
It's a goodbye. It's saying goodbye.
Yeah.
Or goodbye for now, or making
preparations and things like that. So I mean, it was twofold. It's like you get that that long goodbye to the Shire or to Hobbiton, and then you're also trying to not deceive, I guess. Protect and deceive, I guess. Make sure no one really realizes his true intention in moving to Crick Hollow.
Right.
So that's something that's a lot for a hobbit, to have to endure right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Okay, let's see what else we have here. As we get closer to September,
and plus he can't tell anybody.
Yeah,
he can't tell anybody. Like maybe he could talk to Sam about it, but they probably don't. I would imagine he wouldn't just go, "Hey Sam, let's come up here for a drink and let's just kind of talk," because of those not knowing who's listening, Gandalf's warning about, don't use the ring and be careful who you tell about it.
Yep.
There's lots of spies everywhere.
Yeah.
So
what's
it'd be a huge burden to take on already.
Right. What's interesting is how this company grows, which is what we're going to get into, because you're right. He can only talk to Sam right now.
Yeah.
But his other friends are not idle. Which is
No.
cool. We noticed that in chapter 2, they're watching him from afar.
Yep.
Right there was just hinting
and
to
they know
us
what's going on.
that in chapter 3,
they know something else is going on. Yeah.
I mean, we know later on you can't keep them out of secret meetings. I mean, top secret meetings.
Footsie there, sorry.
Oh,
Eds is playing footsie with me. He's getting a little excited about top secret meetings.
But I was about to say, we're getting closer to September 22nd.
Yes, we are.
So
and
we
Frodo's
get to enjoy
getting
all that time.
Yeah, and Frodo's getting more and more anxious.
Right.
He would have expected to see Gandalf by now.
Well, Gandalf says he says at the latest he would return.
At the latest on his birthday.
On his birthday.
So these last two, it's the 20th, and they're moving stuff to his new house. He's getting stuff moved to his new house. Still hasn't seen him. He's very, very anxious. Then he has his farewell feast, right? And we're envisioning snowing food and raining drink.
Yeah, but it was a smaller feast than what I remember.
It's an intimate, and it's in a way it's kind of cool. It's like an intimate goodbye.
Right.
It's his 4 helpers. Right.
Yeah.
And he didn't even really feel like, because this stuff was weighing on, because Gandalf's absence was still there, he says he can't really enjoy it. And he's got this burden too. The thought that he would have to so soon part with his young friends weighed on his heart. He wondered how he would break it to them. So he's also processing these interpersonal dilemmas of I'm going to have to leave Merry and Pippin, 2 of my buddies, Falco and Fatty. It sounds like a great curse word.
I know.
The Falco. How do I tell them what's going on without telling them what's going on? And how do I say goodbye for a long period of time when they're expecting me to be around, just in a different location? Right.
And do you think too, like, if he's not enjoying his farewell feast, and like, what is he telling Merry and Pippin? Like, what reason is he given to go get Crick Hollow? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
They're helping him.
Right.
So they're in on something, which we find out here just a little bit, but
I also underlined too, I love that he calls the Sackville Bagginsies. Wow. The SBs, which is pretty close to SOBs.
Right.
Which I like. That's great. It's a nice little, And how he doesn't leave any of the old vineyards left. He drinks all the wine.
Heck no,
don't leave that around.
That is so great.
Suck that down, baby. Yeah, it's cool.
So I had down just that they included some good wine, good time with friends.
They got a sniff of air.
They got a sniff of air.
And a glimpse of the stars.
That's right.
And but that portion ends. Gandalf had not come. I think he was still holding out. I mean, obviously, he was that whole time, that whole feast. It's just like Gandalf. He's going to burst in at the last minute. My fears will be put to rest. We'll finish this food, and then traveling to Crick Hollow won't seem so.
Oh, for sure.
Uneasy.
Yeah. And Gandalf actually tells him, he goes, "You may need my company," which is cool. That word company, I just love how he titles his chapters. And you've got, we were talking about shadows so much in the last one, and now we're talking about company.
Yeah.
A company of elves coming along, and just so many different things.
And the intimate company of his birthday feast. Right.
Absolutely.
It's not a gross, it's a company.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
wow,
I don't know, but he
good
says
catch. I did not catch that. That's beautiful. Yeah.
He says that he would need his company along the way, and then it's disheartening that Gandalf is not there, but yet it's filled. It's definitely filled by Sam and Pippin when we get going here. Yeah. So right in that next morning, Fatty after lunch takes off. All right, he's done. So we don't see him until much later. I think right. Years in this podcast.
Right, yeah.
And Merry Brandybuck packed up the last of Frodo's things and set up for Crick Hollow. So he went on ahead of them. Right. Actually, maybe. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, someone's got to get the warm the house before you come.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And what's neat is there's a lot of things, and I wonder, what did he keep? What all was there that he kept and that he did not give up in Bag End, that he just moved for safekeeping and stuff. So I'm sure that there was plenty. Several carts had went on ahead.
Probably a chest with
ahead of that. Yeah.
With some gold. smelling a troll.
Yeah.
I would think.
Something. Yeah, there's got to be something there.
Gotta
Yeah.
be.
So, actually, no, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I had Fatty and Falco switched up there. Falco is actually the one who stayed up through lunch.
Yes.
Fatty went on ahead
Fatty's
with
hanging
Mary.
out. Yep.
Yeah.
With him. That's right. Yep.
And then Mary stayed with Frodo.
Yep.
So
we see here that
or Pippin stayed.
yes,
with Frodo.
Pippin stayed. Yep.
Gotta change that.
So we see here that Frodo's restless and anxious. He's listening in vain for a sound of Gandalf. You can almost just, I mean, you know what that feels like too, right? Someone's supposed to show up to something and they're not showing up and you haven't heard from them, and it just makes you, again, Frodo's become, he's just so relatable. Like, you know exactly how that feels. You can't think about any, like, even if he's thinking about other things, that thought is constantly in the back of his mind. Where's Gandalf? What happened to him? What did he hear before he left that made him need to leave? And did it become his demise?
Well, and then if he didn't share, right? If he didn't share whether that was attached and related to this awful news that he had learned, because don't forget in chapter 2, I don't know if we mentioned this, but Gollum is seeking out Bilbo. He's looking out. He's looking for a Baggins. And the Shire.
Yeah.
Okay.
He wants his precious back.
Right. So he's worried about that. Right. So
Peekin says, "Took it from us."
Yeah.
That was for you, babe.
That's good. That's good.
All right. It's just hard. It's hard to leave, dude. Then they have lunch and Lobelia shows up and sticks her nose in it and is a big jerk.
She does. Yep.
You know,
she does. With her son Lotho, who again later on, big deal. Some important stuff happens with Lotho.
Good point.
At the very end of this series.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
So then they have their last meal, right, which is lunch. This is great. Does it talk about how they? Where does it say that they
left the dishes?
Yeah,
yeah.
That's awesome.
They made sure.
Yep, that's Bilbo coming out and Frodo. Leave the dishes for them to do.
Right.
I have some stuff I kind of wanted to read. Is that cool?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Just some, just masterful writing from Tolkien again.
Yeah.
The sun went down. Baggins seemed sad and gloomy and disheveled. Frodo wandered round the familiar rooms and saw the light of the sunset fade on the walls, and shadows, creep out of the corners. It grew slowly dark indoors. So this place that we've seen as full of light and life and energy and homey and always comfortable is changing hands, and it's I don't know. It's just
well, it's also foreshadowing the fate of Bag End itself. So,
gosh, he went out and walked down to the gate at the bottom of the path, and then on a short way down the hill road. He half expected to see Gandalf come striding up through the dusk. The sky was clear and the stars were growing bright. "It's going to be a fine night," he said aloud. "That's good for a beginning. I feel like walking. I can't bear any more hanging about. I'm going to start, and Gandalf must follow me." He turned to go back. This is where, so you have this this farewell moment, and then, dude, it shifts beats like that.
Quick.
It goes from sad and mournful to, this freaks me out. This scares me more than direct contact, what's about to happen.
Well, actually, this is interesting. Like not that we talk a lot about what happens in the movie, but this is a moment that you could have done in the movie where it's like, whoa.
It would have been scarier than anything they did with the Dark Riders, Black Riders.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So he says, so he turned to go back and then stopped, for he heard voices just around the corner by the end of Bagshot Row. One voice was certainly the old Gaffer's. Okay, cool. No problem. The other was strange and somehow unpleasant. He could not make out what it said, but he heard the Gaffer's answers, which were rather shrill. The old man seemed put out. "No, Mr. Baggins has gone away. Went this morning, and my Sam went with him. Anyway, all his stuff went. Yes, sold out and gone, I tell ye." "Why? Why, it's none of my business or yours." "Where to? That ain't no secret. He's moved to Buckleberry, or some such place away down yonder." "Yes, it is. A tidy way. I've never been so far myself. They're queer folks in Buckland. No, I can't give no message. Good night to you." Footsteps went away down the hill. So, dude, he's inches from this inquirer.
Right.
Frodo wondered vaguely why the fact that they did not come up the hill seemed a great relief.
Yes. And okay.
Interesting.
That's actually really, really, really important because later on, I'm like knocking on my mic. Sorry. We learn more about these Black Riders and their presence.
And right now that we don't even know that's what it is.
I know, we have no idea.
Right.
But that is being set up right here.
Yes, it is.
Which is unreal.
Yes,
I
know.
And it takes like a reread or like a look back once you get there to say, wow, right there's like the first time that you felt that.
And he was not inches obviously, but 30, 40, just down the hill from like his doom.
Right.
That's the scariest thing. And what's even more unsettling is it's in the heart of the Shire. Mm-hmm. We've been told, that Gandalf set up these watchers, and the Bounders are out. The Shireling Bounders are out, keeping dark figures out of the Shire. And this thing got in, and we don't necessarily know. Like I said, we don't really know yet that it's bad or evil. And Frodo just kind of shrugs it off here. Mm-hmm. He says, he just says, "I'm sick of questions and curiosity about my doings, I suppose. What an inquisitive lot they all are." He probably thinks it's some hobbit or some just nosy, up to no good busybody. But yeah.
Here's something interesting though, and maybe I'm looking into this too much, and maybe I'm just misreading it.
No, give it to me, man.
He said footsteps went away down the hill.
Yeah.
So was he unmounted? Was this or was that who was walking down the hill?
Right.
That to me almost like when they're up on horses, when they're down on their feet walking around.
Yeah.
They seem scarier to me. I don't know why, but they just do.
And
so
here's something interesting too: is before you, this is kind of jumping ahead, but if you're reading this for the very first time and you don't know about Black Riders, so that's a frame that we're looking through. We know or we remember that that's who that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. That's a good point. This could just be a stranger to you if this is your first.
Or maybe
read.
Here's the other thing that I guess we don't know necessarily yet either is that Gandalf has appeared as a beggar. Mm-hmm. During his travels, Gandalf went to Edoras and appeared as a beggar to see if he'd be admitted, and he was turned away as a test. Mm-hmm. And so I had honestly forgotten that this was a Black Rider for sure. Mm-hmm. I was reading through this again, and I was like, hold on a second. No. I was like, I know I'm supposed to think this is a Black Rider, and I forgot that later on they clarify that, or Tolkien clarifies that. But
Sam.
I was yes, mm-hmm. I was thinking to myself, yeah, that's right. I was thinking to myself, is this what he, like Gandalf, and was he pulling what he did at Edoras to try and see if Gaffer would give him any information? Mm-hmm. It's just interesting. It would. That's almost one of those things that would be cool if it was left to mystery. If we didn't actually know it was a Black Rider,
right?
It makes it scarier that we find that out. But it would have been interesting if he would have just left that up to the reader's interpretation, because you could have surmised it was a Black Rider anyway.
Right. Well, it's the same thing that they did, sort of like when Sam's talking about his cousin seeing that walking elm tree.
Right.
So
you figure it's an ent.
You figure it is.
Right, but you're never told out. Outright.
Right. People were talking about could that have been some of the Ent wives?
Yeah.
That was a big thing for a while. Could that have been an Ent wife?
Yeah.
That was wandering.
Oh, that's right.
Right. So,
because there's nothing right, and there's nothing explicitly evil that happens in this interchange. Gaffer's not hurt, right? He's not hurt or threatened or anything. This
he did
creature
seem put out.
But he seemed annoyed. That's how I take that. He's annoyed, right? He's having to answer all these questions, and he doesn't want to tell him the answers because he's protecting the Baggins.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's see here. So then he rolls back up there, and he's got Pippin waiting for him, right?
Yeah.
And
did you like how Sam was saying goodbye?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that what you're about to read?
Right.
Do it.
Wait, where's that? Do you have it?
Yeah.
He gets his last little swig in, right?
Yeah. Was it Frodo stepped inside the door. Sam, he called. Sam, time. Coming, sir, came the answer from far within, followed soon by Sam himself, wiping his mouth. He had been saying farewell to the beer barrel in the cellar. All aboard, Sam, said Frodo. Yes, sir. I'll last for a good bit now. Awesome, dude.
That is actually.
Fueling up, baby.
Yeah. But important here, he sends Sam back down to Bagshot Row, just to kind of talk to, what was he? He had to give him something.
He was passing the key off, wasn't he, for Bag End?
Yeah.
Giving it to Gaffer. Yeah.
And then he had to, Sam had to cut back up and meet with him, right? So they're off at last.
I love the way they disappear too. or the way they go off, right? They jumped over the low place in the hedge at the bottom and took to the fields, passing in the darkness like a rustle in the grasses.
Yeah, like a rustle in the grasses.
And also that he's following Bilbo if he had known it.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even realize, but he's taking the same exact path that Bilbo did.
Right.
So cool.
That is actually really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then they kind of like this next little bit here, they sort of talk about what they want to do, right? They start kind of talk about how they're going to, set off. I mean, in case we missed this part, I guess, but they're going to walk from Hobbiton to Cricala.
Yep.
So, or to Buckleberry Ferry, at least, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, so anyways, they talk about Sam's pack, and this is more characterization for Sam, and just that he took on more. He's one of the younger. He's a younger hobbit. Yeah. And so he's taking on a lot more,
and also watching out for his, taking care of his master.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
So,
dude, I loved the. I think we went past it, but there's this. Oh dang it! There's this moment where Frodo looks into the mirror, looks into the dusty mirror, and says he looks rounder and softer than he likes. So that's another reason he's wanting to walk too. Is he's wanting to get into shape for, well, we know, like his adventure and his journey. He wants to get in shape for that, but also it's just funny. I don't know the way
it is funny
the way they say that,
because later on they mention it as well. He sees himself at the end of this first leg, and realizes that he's different. He's already physically changed.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see.
But Sam taking on more than his fair share of carrying. In the pack.
Alrighty. So let me see what else. Anything on the notes here? I have on the road. The company of 3 sleep out under the stars. They make camp, and the scene is beautiful. Okay. So that's on page 79. Well, we need to mention too, by the way.
Oh yeah, we're in different versions.
We're in different
the
versions,
page numbers.
Yeah. So what we are going to, we often read from Lane's book, or we mention page numbers from Lane's book. Yeah. So we will get you guys the version or edition or whatever on Facebook, so you guys can kind of know that he has that book and what have you. So we're still going to reference page numbers because a lot of people probably have that version. So
all right.
All right. So this is neat here. This is a little bit I wanted to just read as they're making their way here. When they had walked about 3, well, I guess before that, all you really need to know is that they're going through different places like Tuklin and they were bending southeastward. They made their way for the Green Hill Country. So this is just right after where we had talked about them taking off. So here's a good part. He says, "I wonder if I shall ever look down into that valley again," he said quietly. And that's right after that, they start to kind of describe this scene. I wanted to read this to you. When they had walked about 3 hours, they rested. The night was clear, cool, and starry, but smoke like wisps of mist were creeping up the hillside from the streams and the deep meadows. Now that, to me, I love misty anything.
I did too.
I love misty days. I love just misty like rain and stuff like that.
Yeah, I did too.
So that just painted a really beautiful picture to me, and I imagine like the moon maybe being out or something. I don't know. Let's see. They ate a very frugal supper for hobbits. Right?
I love that in parentheses, 4 hobbits.
4 hobbits.
So for us, it might be a perfect supper.
Probably hearty.
Yeah.
Soon they struck a narrow road. They went rolling up and down, fading gray into the darkness ahead. The road to Woodhall and Stock and the Buckleberry Ferry. So that's actually interesting that we mentioned Woodhall because that's the way we're taking, and that's going to be important later on.
Yeah, it is.
That's the road that we're on.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. There was one description I had underlined before that real quick that talks about how they moved.
Okay.
Which I thought was really interesting because what it does is like we know that like hobbits have quirks of strength, but this description like takes them to the next level and shows that I think that they're magical.
Okay.
Right? And that they have powers that can be just as valuable as the Númenóreans or the elves or the wizards or the high elves even, right? So in their dark cloaks, they were at the bottom of page 69 in my version.
We'll figure that out.
In their dark cloaks, they were as wow. Let me start again. In their dark cloaks, they were as invisible as if they had all magic. Oh my gosh, let me start again. In their dark cloaks, they were as invisible as if they all had magic rings. Since they were all hobbits and were trying to be silent, they made no noise that even hobbits would hear. Even the wild things in the fields and woods hardly noticed their passing. Mm-hmm. And there's a cool part. Yeah, is it there? Not there yet. It's on the next page about a fox. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, here's something I'm glad that you went back and read that because they are trying to be discreet.
Yeah.
They're trying to sneak out of here. Yeah. And if you, to kind of harken back to The Hobbit, why was Bilbo chosen? Because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's his potential as a burglar, right? Invisible.
Right.
Yeah.
And could sneak past things and was quiet in
even
the forest.
The wild things,
right?
Who notice everything, that notice everything.
And it's more of their intention. If they want to be quiet and sneaky, they can.
Yeah,
right.
So that's a power they have.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Awesome stuff, dude.
Let's see what else we have, buddy. Let's see. As they move on here.
Let me see here. Oh, I thought it was cool how Sam's talking about exactly where something is, and they make mention that Sam knew the land within 20 miles, knew the land well within 20 miles of Hobbiton, but that was the limit of his geography. And they're starting to get into areas that he has never been before. So his wonder goes
excited.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His eyes are wide.
Yeah. He's ready for it.
What's so funny? Earlier, they mentioned like a hat that he was wearing.
Like
the bag that he put over his head.
Yeah, dude. He's having the time of his life, which is so ironic. Because he knows that they're on this quest. It's not an adventure. It's not like a holiday, right? Like hobo. Oh my god, dude! Like Frodo had hoped. That's what I meant to say. It's not a holiday. It's a quest.
Yeah.
I love this part too. Right at the end of this section, talking about going to bed. So they crackle a flame at the foot of a large fir tree, and they sat around it for a while until they began to nod. Then each in an angle of the great tree's roots, they curled up in their cloaks and blankets and were soon fast asleep. They set no watch. Even Frodo feared no danger, for they were still in the heart of the Shire. A few creatures came and looked at them when the fire had died away. I love this next two paragraphs. A fox passing through the wood on business of his own stopped several minutes and sniffed. Hobbits, he thought. Well, what next? I have heard of strange doings in this land, but I have seldom heard of a hobbit sleeping out of doors under a tree. 3 of them! There is something mighty queer behind this. He was quite right, but he never found out any more about it. Mm-hmm. Just like, I think that's where someone would go, wow, Tolkien's insane. Why did he even write that? But it shows that everything alive in Middle-earth has an intention,
right?
I believe that's the way it is in our planet too. Sure. Like all these creatures, they have life and they have thoughts and they have, it's just cool opinions, and it personifies something that normally we wouldn't think has any kind of human thoughts.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is that this fox sniffed, right? That's interesting,
right?
Now another thing, this fox thought that hobbits out this late sneaking around. Out on the road in the woods is a little queer.
Are you saying my fox friend is in cahoots?
No. Listen to this.
Are you saying he's a servant of the dark side?
Oh, could he be? Could he?
I mean, was he the Black Rider interrogate him, and that's why he never
of some kind.
That's why he never found out more about it.
Right? Maybe
interrogated him and then ate him.
Maybe
fried fox for dinner.
Yeah. Jeez, it's terrible. What's wrong with you?
Lots of things.
No, but here, think about this, right? In Hobbiton, when you have folk coming into their land, travelers on their road, they're queer and they're weird, right?
I know, it's interesting. Yeah.
And now we have hobbits leaving their own land, and it would later on as they go further and further and further. It's strange.
That's weird.
That's weird.
That's not what they do.
People are mystified, right? The elves, even in this chapter, are kind of like, what is going on?
What are you guys up to?
Yeah, something's up.
There's got to be something else. We've guessed it.
So that fox is kind of the first sort of indication
Inquisitor.
of that. Yeah. So, all right. So after that, they're going to sleep, and so the morning came, pale and clammy. All right. Frodo woke up, found the tree root had made a hole in his back, and that his neck was stiff. So walking for pleasure. Why didn't I drive? He thought.
It's awesome, dude.
Right. So, but he has them all wake up, and it's a beautiful morning. They comment on that, and they get some breakfast going.
Pippin was busting Sam's balls for not having the bathwater ready.
Yeah, what the heck?
What a jerk.
Yeah. So,
Gosh.
so anyways,
Full of a toque.
They're taking their time though. I mean, they're no rush. I mean, they have time to make a fire and I mean, this sounds to like
it's
a good
enjoyable.
little.
I know.
I actually really enjoy this.
I want to.
And there are moments, though, abrupt moments where it's like, oh my God, wait, there's some serious stuff happening, right? But you get lulled into the safety of the Shire.
Yeah. Away eastward, the sun was rising red out of the mists that lay thick on the world. Touched with gold and red, the autumn trees seemed to be sailing rootless in a shadowy sea. A little below him to the left, the road ran down steeply into a hollow and disappeared. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Set me on that road.
Right.
I'll take it. I'm there. It's just like it.
Isn't somewhere around there where Frodo mentions that this is like the road for us or something, or the road or the way for us? Or is that later on?
I can't remember.
I guess later on, but he makes mention about it. So
I don't keep water in my pockets, man.
Right.
Get your own.
Me neither. Oh gosh. So once their breakfast was over, they pack up. It's after 10. Wow, they really slept in, had a good little meal, right? I mean,
11sies, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So the day's beginning to turn fine and hot, and they're moving on, right? So the day's march promised to be warm and tiring work. After some miles, however, the road ceased to roll up and down. It climbed to the top of a steep bank in the weary, zigzagging sort of way, and then prepared to go down for the last time. In front of them, they saw lower lands dotted with small clumps of trees that melted away into, in the distance, to a brown woodland haze. Mm-hmm. They were looking across the woody end towards the Brandywine River. The road wound away before them like a piece of string.
And the next line, which is hilarious, the road goes on forever, said Pippin, but I can't without a rest.
Right. I feel like we just barely got moving.
Right.
We got to take a break.
Dude, he's such a hobbit.
So yeah, time for lunch. So and there you go. And as they break for lunch here, this is where we get more about Sam, like you said before, this wide-eyed Sam who's probably getting to a point. Eventually, he gets to a point where we're not there yet. Where another chapter where he gets further than he's ever been.
Yeah.
But we're getting close to that for him. Yeah. And for all of them, I guess. Essentially,
they're starting to get out of their element a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Out of depth.
Especially for Sam, I think. Because Frodo's kind of going back to Buckland where he grew up. But anyways, Sam starts to kind of wonder about elves in these woods, right?
And they also do a little bit of singing.
Oh, they do. Yeah, absolutely they do.
The road goes ever on and on.
It does.
You know what I mean? Road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, and I must follow if I can. We're having fun here, guys.
Oh my god!
Sing along, make your own tune. We're obviously stealing the one from the movie.
Oh, it's easier.
That's
that way.
The easiest one.
Yeah.
Plus, you just think of Gandalf and Bilbo, right?
You do, but let's so for a second here. Suddenly, the mention of elves, right, is what sort of spurred Frodo into singing this song, and then he doesn't even quite remember. They say that sounds a bit of the old Bilbo's rhyming, said Pippin,
but not altogether encouraging.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Frodo says, I don't know. It came to me then as if I was making it up, but I may have heard it long ago.
Yeah.
So when and where did he?
There's some deeper magic to Frodo.
There is
for
actually.
Sure.
Like I am sure maybe it was in their younger days, and they're just out walking around tramping, and Bilbo
it's passed on that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And he just heard it, and it came back to him, like in a subliminal way, right?
I know. I joke around about like the mixing of different Middle Earth races romantically.
I know, yeah, you do.
But I've got a serious question for you, dude.
God.
I mean, do you think hobbits have pointy ears? And some hobbits are prone to, like the Tooks, adventure, unpredictability.
Right.
You think maybe an elf slipped in there?
Wow. Like in the old Took line or something?
Maybe.
Or? Holy smokes.
I mean, you think, I don't know, dude. They're kind of magical. They've got a lineage.
Maybe.
Of that's, I don't know. And the elves find them, we'll read that. I'm jumping ahead.
Actually,
the elves find them entertaining. They also call them boring. But once they actually spend time with them, they're like, oh, come on. These little hobbits, they're like little elves.
Well,
I'm calling it Brew. Brew?
Yeah.
What's up, Brew? Hey, Brew. Oh, you Brew. You going down to Oakland, man?
Oh my God. How late is it getting? It's great.
I don't know.
Not late enough. Okay. No, you're right. Because I mean, later on, you've got like Bilbo. I'm not gonna go there yet, but very interesting how they treat him later on.
I know. So
you could be onto something.
Thank you.
So
well, I might not be, but
yeah. Well, you never know.
You never know.
So interesting. They're reminiscing, I guess, about Bilbo here, and they kind of quote him. Frodo's remembering. He says, "It's dangerous business, Frodo, going out your door." He used to say, "You step into the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to."
Yeah.
Right. So I thought that was great. You know, we've.
And I also love, like before that, he talks about. I'm just going to read it because he says it better than I can. He used often to say that there was only one road.
Right.
That it was like a great river. Its springs were at every doorstep, and every path was its tributary. You know, what does he even say?
I'm just looking at what Pippin says later.
I can't remember what else he says, but I can't find it. But it's I've had the same thought. Like you drive out your house and you get on a road that leads into, like for instance, I'm obsessed with where I live. I love living here. Yeah. But you get out and you go on to 22, and 22 becomes Main Street in Lancaster. It becomes, so literally I'm 3 turns from downtown of a little city that I love.
You're talking about where they talk about how this road could
it turns into others. I mean, there's only one road, as he says, but they're all tributaries of the same river. It's just such an interesting way to think, and in that way, the world's pretty small. We're all connected that way. I don't know. It's just a cool thought.
Right. Well, the road won't sweep me anywhere for an hour at least.
Dude.
Said Pippin.
What a man! He needs to get his
and the others followed
his
suit.
Irk up. Right.
Good call, Pippin. We gotta take a little rest here, respite.
You would also be a good call as if we made a Lord of the Rings podcast.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you think that's something that we could do and handle?
Yeah. I'm always surprised when I look down and you have like new names in here. Like I'm always surprised.
We're making these up on the spot. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
I think we should make a Lord of the Rings podcast, man.
Right. Dude, let's do it. Yeah.
The problem is, well, I guess it's not a problem. The challenge, we got to get the name just right. You have any ideas? Podcast names?
Does that say Bread and Butterbur?
Wouldn't that be a cool? Wow. Man, that's great.
That would be
off the top of your head.
Thank you.
The Weathertop Gang? Maybe something like that. Something catchy.
Gang. Yep.
Yeah.
The Sorry Man podcast.
Sorry Man. Oh, like Saruman. Oh, that's like Saruman is how a Jamaican might say it.
Right.
What about Greetings from Guayhair?
That would be really good too.
Wow.
Guys, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Close. Not there yet.
We're getting close.
Maybe someday we'll have a Lord of the Rings podcast.
We're going to have to do like a behind the scenes someime. And oh my God, I need to tell folk about that little segment. Anyways,
I don't know what you're talking
about. What are we talking about? I don't know what we're talking about.
We're still on the road to the woody end.
Yep. All right, here we go. So, they are out and about. They take the little respite there, and the sun was beginning to get low, and the light of the afternoon was on the land as they went down the hill. So they're moving along here. There was little traffic to the woody end. They had been jogging along again for an hour or more when Sam stopped a moment as if listening. They were now on a level ground, and the road, after much winding, lay straight ahead through grass laid sprinkled with tall trees, outliers of the approaching woods. I can hear a pony or a horse coming along the road behind, said Sam.
And Frodo, in his optimism and his hopefulness, says, I wonder if that's Gandalf.
Right.
Couldn't be further from Gandalf, my friend.
But this is one of those moments, right, where like we were just reminiscing about Bilbo and his adventures and things.
Yeah.
And we're learning about this beautiful more and more. And again, it's what we said in chapter 1. You set up this place that is like a beautiful Shire country that you always sort of think back to, and you are always trying to get back to and save and protect. So, but yeah, real danger is approaching.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Frodo has this urge, instinctual, seemingly. He has a sudden desire to get off the road and out of view from the rider. And he said it just came over him. He says, it might not make a difference, but we need to get off the road. So they listen.
Where'd that come from, though? That urge.
I
mean,
greater forces, right? Forces for good, working in.
That's the thing we keep talking about, like the dreams that he's having.
Definitely wasn't the ring,
right?
Not the ring's influence.
No, definitely not.
It's the good that's
It's so I think that is sprinkled throughout here, and it's just so subtle that can be overlooked. You know?
Yeah, because that would make a huge difference. Oh, they stay on the road, game over.
Right.
Book's done after 2 chapters. It's a short story. It's not a book. So he gets off the road. He's like even apologizing. I'm sorry, guys. That might not be a big difference. Might not make a big. Wow. Might not make a difference. But let's get off the road. It just would make me feel better. Yeah, so they oblige him. They're like, okay, fine. And then round the corner came a black horse. No hobbit pony, but a full-size horse. And on it sat a large man who seemed to crouch in the saddle, wrapped in a great black cloak and hood, so that only his boots and the high stirrups showed below. His face was shadowed and invisible. Invisible. Let me say that word again more coherently. Invisible.
Yeah.
So shadowed. Again, we're seeing this shadow. And every time or most of the times we've heard of shadow, it has the connection to Mordor.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? Yep. Invisible face.
In connection to ring and connection to great rings. Right there.
His head was bowed as if listening, and there came a noise as if someone was sniffing. A sudden unreasoning, I think that's the key word there too, a sudden unreasoning fear of discovery laid hold of Frodo. And he begins to slowly move his hand towards the ring.
Right.
And this is like his first real test.
Yeah, absolutely.
He knows this is an evil force, and he's feeling drawn to the ring. And this is what's really important. The advice of Gandalf seemed absurd.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Right.
The one person he trusts more than anyone in Middle Earth, his sound and repeated advice, don't use it, don't use it, don't use it, don't use it, is suddenly, man, that's ridiculous.
Right.
I'm just going to put it on.
I know it's scary. It's a scary thought because of how powerful we know that Gandalf is, and being a member of that council and stuff. It's just to dismiss it. That's unreal.
Yeah, it's insane. So that's the power. That's the power he's up against. That's the dark forces that he's up against. Yeah. So we know that he's not sure why, but suddenly it just passed out of sight, and the horse turned aside and went. But it seems like it went into the trees at the right. So it's gone, but it's not necessarily really gone. And of course, the thing that's great is, Pippin and Sam didn't see it. Right. So this is a very different scene in the movie. In the movie, it's in your face. They just barely get off the road in time. Mary's also there. It's different that way.
Oh, yeah.
And they all sense it. They all sense the evil. And you've got Sam helping Frodo to not use the ring.
Right.
It's more powerful here, I think.
Yeah.
Frodo's by himself. He doesn't have anyone helping him, from... no one helping the temptation.
Yeah.
He has to overcome it himself, and really he just kind of lucks out because the Black Rider moves on.
Right. Yes.
Had he stayed there longer, I'm like, who knows what would have happened. It's crazy.
Yeah, and so you're right that they don't notice it, and it's almost like Frodo then has to kind of describe what this was, and Pippin's wondering what do the big folk want in these parts?
Right.
What are they doing here? Right. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just kind of
and the way
baffling.
And the way Frodo describes him too, it's like we've never even heard of anybody like that.
Right.
You know.
Right. We've never heard of anybody like that except for begging your pardon. Put in Sam suddenly. right?
Yes.
So this I thought was important to read.
Yeah, read that, please.
He says, he talks about knowing, he goes, it's from Hobbiton that this here Black Rider comes, unless there's more than one, and I know where he's going to. What do you mean? Said Frodo sharply, looking at him in astonishment. Why didn't you speak up before? I've only just remembered, sir. It was like this. When I got back to your hole yesterday evening with the key, my dad says to me, "Hello, Sam," he says. "I thought you were away with Mr. Frodo this morning. There's been a strange customer asking for Mr. Baggins of Bag End, and he's only just gone. I've sent him on to Buckleberry. Not that I like the sound of him. He seemed mighty put out when I told him Mr. Baggins had left his home for good. Hissed at me, he did. It gave me quite a shudder. What sort of fellow was he? Says I to the gaffer. I don't know, he says, but he wasn't a hobbit. He was tall and black-like, and he stooped over me. I reckon it was one of the big folk from the foreign parts. He spoke funny." So,
There you go.
I mean, there you go. Yeah, and then Frodo then remembers that strange voice, right? And remembers, the gaffer's voice and being shrill and being, him being put out.
And maybe because they're further from the heart of the Shire, but how interesting that almost exactly the same circumstances. He was right outside his home, so maybe he felt more comfortable there, but he was on a road that this Black Rider was also on, but he didn't feel the need to get off the road then.
Yeah.
Right? And he didn't feel nearly as unreasonably disturbed.
Okay, yeah. So earlier, you mean like when he's okay, yeah, because he feels. We were talking about that urge and the presence, I guess, that the Black Rider is associated with, right? This dark force.
Yes.
So yeah, I get that, and it's he feels the urge to get off the road, but then yet can't quite resist the ring. It's a mixed emotions, yeah.
It's got to be partially this proximity. He's leaving the Shire, right?
Right.
He's more on the wild. He's got the safety of the Shire less.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Okay. So let's see. Let's move on down here a little bit. Still, there may be no connection between this rider and Gaffer Stranger, said Pippin. We left Hobbiton secretly enough, and I don't see how he could have followed us. What about the smelling, sir? Said Sam. And the gaffer said he was a black chap. The smelling, the sniffing. I just later on, one of my favorite lines is when Pippin says, "And don't forget the sniffing." It's just, it's so ridiculous.
It's awesome, dude.
So,
the smelling.
But now Frodo's upset because it's like, oh boy,
he's got regrets.
He's like, maybe I should have waited.
Should have waited for Gandalf.
Like, this is getting, I might be over my, over my head here, and this is a big burden. He knows what he's carrying and knows how serious it is, and I wonder how much of that they relayed to Sam, how much Sam fully knows. He was dropping eaves, but,
right? He heard bits and pieces,
but did they actually go back and tell him the whole story?
That's a good question. In that 2 months period of time, did they debrief him at all?
Yeah, right. I know later on he's going to
probably not.
Out. Right.
Yeah,
but
right.
For right now, I kind of wondered. So,
yeah. And then Frodo pretty much says, "We need to make more ground today. We got to do a good bit more walking."
Yep, exactly. So yeah, Buckland's still miles away, so they move on here.
Yeah.
Let's see what I have here, maybe in my notes. Something on page 86. Then I was gonna read a little bit. Oh, so yeah, they move on. Who sings this next song? Coming up here. So we have Twilight was about them as they crept back into the lane. And no, I'm not on your page 86. Sorry.
That's why I was like, what's the next chapter, dude?
No, but they you're right. They move on. They actually come upon sort of a.
Oh, I know this song.
Yeah, it's a good song.
So they begin to hum softly as hobbits have a way of doing as they walk along, especially when they're drawing near to home. Yeah, drawing near to home at night. Is this where we are?
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
though, hold on one second, because
Get me. Man.
I just
Come on,
found the
come
quote.
on.
I've been looking. Even when we were doing our notes and our outline, I couldn't find this, and
It just came to you now?
I just found it, so I'm not going to take my finger off of it.
I
So
think
the
you
sun
should
had
read
gone down. Yeah. So Buckland's still miles away. So time for them to move on. The sun had gone down, though. Red behind the hills at their backs. The evening was coming on before them. Was coming on before they came back to the road at the end of the long level over which it had run straight for some miles. At that point, it bent left and went down into the lowland of the Yale, making for Stock. But a lane branched right, winding through a wood of ancient oak trees on its way to Woodhall. That is the way for us, said Frodo. And I kind of took this, like, I think I heard it, and then I heard him describing, where they were going. And it reminds me, too, that, like, Frodo knows where he's going.
Yeah, he does.
And because later on, they're on the same road, and it's almost like not, like, this is not a well-trodden, like, path, I don't feel like. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
And so he...
Especially for most hobbits.
Right.
And it's paying off. All that wandering he did.
Right.
Walking with elves under the starlight, like Bilbo, it's paying off.
Right. So he's versed in this, right?
Yeah.
So
yes, he is.
Yeah. Let's see. But anyway, so not far from the road meeting, there came a huge hulk of tree. It was still alive and had leaves on the small branches that it had put on around the broken stumps of its long fallen limbs. But it was hollow and could be entered by a great crack on the side away from the road. So the hobbits crept inside and sat there on the floor of old leaves and decayed wood. They rested and had a light meal, talking quietly, listening from time to time. How many times have we stopped in and while they're eating?
Yeah.
I just love it.
I know.
Like, it's just a subtle reminder. It's
Yep,
just
that they have
great.
to eat. Yep.
Yeah.
Another cool part, a little bit further down, the west wind was, this is just another beautiful description from Tolkien. The west wind was sighing in the branches. Leaves were whispering. Soon the road began to fall gently but steadily into the dusk. A star came out above the trees in the darkening east before them. Mm-hmm. You can just picture it. You're there in a second.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's
Home is behind, the world ahead, and there are many paths to tread, through shadow to the edge of night, until the stars are all alight.
Wow.
Yeah. Not bad as. That was some melody we're throwing
Sorry,
down.
guys. We're going to have some fun with these songs.
Mist and twilight, cloud and shade, away shall fade. Away shall fade. I'm calling out Billy Boyd, man. I can sing with you, bro.
It's beautiful.
No, that's.
And I actually, you know what? I mean, when you first started singing, like we were kind of warming up before the show.
We did some vocals.
Not our singing
Me.
voices. We were not doing that. But Lane started singing this song, and I was like, "That's not in this chapter."
Yeah, he literally looked at me and was like, "Dude, you're making that up." I was like, "No." Well, I finished singing first,
Right.
unencumbered. I don't lose my focus.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I was just blown away. I kind of forgot that's here, right?
I was actually on American Idol one year.
Okay.
The
Seriously.
outtakes.
Seriously.
It
Okay.
was
So
the
now, anyways,
outtakes episode.
the song ends and now to bed, sang Pippin in a high voice, right? So they're getting ready. They're in this hollowed out tree, right?
He's telling him to shut up.
Right.
He's like, dude, be quiet. You fool of a toque.
Right.
Hoofs again.
Yeah. Again, and
Yeah.
so we had just had a nice, really, like, again, it's just this back and forth of like a nice peaceful song. We're about to lie down. We're comfortable. Every time we seem to get comfortable, something comes along and gets us out of our comfort zone. Okay, so here we go. They've got to.
Yeah, that's a great point.
To kind of get away. And Frodo says, don't go too far. I don't want to be seen. Especially if it's another Black Rider. So. This is the part.
Very
well, said Pippin. But don't forget the sniffing. Oh, I'm sorry. I just can't take it.
Oh, man.
So the hooves drew near. They had no time to find any hiding place better than the general darkness under the tree.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of the scary part, too, where the shadow bent to the ground and then began to crawl towards them.
Yeah, dude. And
So
something we
as it
never see in the
approached.
films,
Right.
right? We see this, Black Rider.
No, exactly. So we see
Yeah.
it dismount and like get
Yeah.
on its hands and knees.
But
the idea of it crawling, I am imagining it crawling across like it's again, it's like a dog
Like
sniffing
a
out a trail.
Dementor, dude.
Yeah, it is kind of like a Dementor, like sniffing its way along, trying to find some whatever scent it is. What is
Almost like crawling over branches and stuff too,
Right.
and under thicket. And
it? Yeah, it just seems weird and kind of
like a serpent-like almost.
yeah, serpent-like. But here's my question:
Yeah.
Is it actually sniffing for like a scent, or like the smell of hobbits, or is it looking for? Because you said Dementors, and
Smell of fear.
that was what I was thinking. That
It's
or
react. Yeah, maybe someone's reaction to it.
Does the ring
scaring it?
itself have a
Have
scent?
a smell?
You know?
Blood, iron.
Yeah,
Yeah, because Sauron's blood's in there. It's an iron smell.
maybe.
Though it be made of gold, iron it smells of.
Right.
Well, you have to smelt metal. You smelt it.
Right. I know. Yeah.
Smelts.
Right. You're right.
I don't know.
So once more, the desire
Yeah.
to slip on the ring
Yeah.
came over Frodo. Right. So
You can just hear the ring calling to him too, man. You can just
yeah, that's right. They did a good job of that in the film. Right.
yeah, just
So,
increasing that like a hypnotic almost. Yeah, I imagine you just enter this because it's he can't describe it. His desire, it's got to be just like this trance. Like if I just put this on, I'll disappear from the situation. Well, really, no. They'd be able to find you instantly. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
said it was even stronger than before. So strong that almost before he realized what he was doing, his hand was groping in his pocket. But at that moment, here you go. Someone comes in to save him. Who is it?
Snow White. Snow White.
Hi ho, it's off to work.
Right. Wrong one. Yeah. Sorry. Not the dwarves. The elves. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, they Sam, hears them and Frodo realizes, yes, it is the elves.
Yeah.
One can meet them sometimes in the woody end, of course, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Frodo has been meeting them.
Yeah.
Let's be
He's
honest.
been hanging out.
Right.
He knows.
They don't live in the Shire, but they wander into it in spring and autumn on their way, or out of their own land, away beyond the Tower Hills. Mm-hmm. So, and he goes, I'm thankful that they do. That Black Rider stops right away. I think sometimes I wonder if it's like something unexpected happening for the Black Rider that scares it off. It's maybe not in its full power yet, or maybe it's not supposed to be uncloaked, or maybe it has, like if the elves are coming and it knows how well they can communicate, and it doesn't want. Yeah. So right now they're in secret mode, right? They're trying to secretly sneak in
the shadows
and penetrate right through the shadows into this land. So they don't want to tip off their enemy, right?
And it's also as far as we know, it's either one or two Black Riders, right? That's all we know of right now. One or maybe two, and you've got a whole group of elves walking by. The thing's outnumbered. And I think it's cool too how it shows the power of light, right? Because if this thing was going to jump out and just end this thing right now, it wouldn't be afraid of elves if it was powerful enough. But it shows us that there's still a lot of power within the good.
Oh, absolutely.
Within the good of Middle Earth, yeah.
Right.
But it's also depressing that we learn eventually, that these elves are all leaving.
I know.
Their time's done.
Yep.
They're fading themselves, so they're leaving.
Right, absolutely.
Sad. Because I guess that's the other bummer too, is you're looking at it and you're like, wow, so elves can scare this thing away. Well, like help from the elves would go a long way. But the
absolutely
fact is they're leaving.
Yep. Yeah, my goodness.
Sam starts freaking out.
He does, yeah.
He couldn't be more excited.
He's super excited, yeah.
He's gonna go give the ring wraith the high five, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Elves, bro.
So one thing we notice here is, and I think this is neat, just a little attention to detail. Frodo, we hear the song as Frodo heard it.
Yeah.
Because they're singing in an Elvish.
Yeah.
So Mary, or not Mary, Pippin.
Elblareth Githoniel. Yeah.
Right. And I think, there's some mixed in, whatever, some of their tongue, right? And their words. But Pippin and Sam must be mystified, right? They must be dumbfounded. They don't know what they're singing about, but it sounds beautiful, right? I'm sure that it does.
Yeah, well, they say that the sound blending with the melody seemed to shape itself and their thought into words, which they only partly understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the song as Frodo heard it. Right. Exactly. The translated version. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Really awesome. Really cool. And here's where we get to meet one of our good friends. Gildor.
Gildor and Glorian.
Yeah. So
also cool too how did you say this already, that Frodo can tell they're high elves because they use the name of Elbereth?
No, that is
again,
cool, though.
It shows Frodo's knowledge that Bilbo passed on to him, that he learned on his own as well by, I don't know, getting to know elves and reading texts. And
that's some pretty deep knowledge, though.
It is.
I mean, that's not just like he did looked up the wiki page on elves.
No.
I mean, he was.
I don't know that the Shire has really good
internet
broadband.
connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not.
It's dial up, I think.
But
yeah, you're right. It knows it just validates Frodo as like knowing his stuff, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude knows his stuff. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hail Frodo, he cried.
Yeah, hail Frodo.
Hail Frodo.
And this almost makes you wonder: have they met before? Knows him by name, or just elves? Are they that freaking nuts and creepy that they know people's names without you telling their names?
Right. Yeah. I mean, they say later like we've seen you with Bilbo. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That's right. Like, how do you know my name?
And you didn't even know that we saw you.
Right.
Right. And I have it here. Elves are cool.
Right.
They creep me out.
Right.
They do a little bit.
Well,
like I watched you when you didn't know I was watching.
But I bet you now some of that we thought rangers, we thought wood elves, we thought maybe high elves now, are some of Gandalf's like band. Yeah,
Is that your foot?
I put my foot over there.
Dang, dude, bigger table.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. It's fine.
But watching the Shire and taking care of it and stuff. Yeah. So, that could have been some of, Gildor could have been a part of that.
Yeah.
So,
Sting must have been a high elf then.
Maybe.
I'll be watching you.
Yeah.
This is the music podcast or the music chapter. I think we need to share that. We should have karaoke with everyone listening.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. Book club karaoke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, maybe we should have people submit their
versions of the songs. That would be awesome. Actually, we could play them.
I would play them.
I would too.
I'll be honest with you.
Yep.
Okay, so the elves again. I said this before and earlier on. They're mystified. They're dumbfounded. How? What? We got 3 hobbits, out abroad.
Yeah.
What's going on here? So,
and they tell them about the Black Riders.
Absolutely.
And they say Black Riders. They said in low voices, "Why do you ask about Black Riders?" So interesting. Like, how do they? They're dumbfounded that hobbits even know what Black Riders are.
Right. And right now they've probably noticed or sensed something because they're very much more in tune with that.
Yes, they are.
And so they're now, not only is it interesting that you're out walking around, but you just mentioned something that we are kind of keeping an eye on.
Right.
And we're connecting it to you. This is not good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they know there's something deeper going on. Right. Yeah, for sure.
Gildor is his suspicion because Frodo talks about, he's like, we're on the same road. They're like, how do you know which way we're going?
Yeah.
Buddy. And then that all doesn't matter once they mention Black Riders. It's sort of like,
right.
Yeah, I think it's time for you guys to come with us.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, it said we have no need for other company.
Yeah.
And the hobbits are so dull. They laughed.
Yeah.
Right.
And they also say you had best walk in the middle so that you may not stray. You may be weary before the halt. Talking about taking them to
Woodhall.
Woodhall.
Yeah. I love Pippin. Wise
awesome.
people, interrupted Pippin eagerly. Tell us about the Black Riders, right? So, he's the one who kind of goes on and kind of tells them about all of that, and they're very intrigued by it. Where is he talking about being an elf friend? I had that outlined here somewhere. Oh, first that Bilbo was an elf friend, right?
Yeah, Bilbo was a good master. Elf friend.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he calls Frodo elf friend, right? By the end of this.
Yeah, he does.
I was thinking. Okay.
Yep.
So, they're walking in the middle, as you mentioned. Oh, here we go. This is what I wanted to read. So as they're in this group and they're walking in the middle, right? It almost seems like, especially for, and this is sort of when they're with the elves, this happens several times, especially when they're with a group of elves, and they're all singing and they're whatever, merrymaking and moving along. Pippin and Sam are kind of in like a daze.
Staggering,
right?
Almost falling.
Yeah, and look at the ground that they made. Basically, I mean, Gildor tells them we have a lot of ground to cover tonight. Get in the middle. How is it that they got more out of the hobbits than the hobbits could have?
Yeah, it's interesting.
You know what I mean?
It?
Like they traveled much further.
Yeah,
and they were already tired. They were about to go to sleep. Right. And so they're in a dreamlike state, kind of a daze, a haze, and but Frodo is still pretty attentive. And even later on, it's the first person to fall asleep is Merry and Sam. So, so that was kind of interesting. So it says that the woods on either side became denser. Were you going to read this?
No, I before.
Just before?
Real quick before, because it was so interesting to me. They now marched on again in silence and passed like shadows and faint lights. For elves, even more than hobbits, could walk when they wished without sound or footfall. Pippin soon began to feel sleepy and staggered once or twice, but each time a tall elf at his side put out his arm and saved him from a fall. I mean, I'm guessing that means he could have fallen and seriously hurt himself or died. Sam walked along at Frodo's side, as if in a dream, with an expression on his face half of fear and half of astonished joy.
Yeah. I mean, this whole part is really good because they start to talk about how the woods seem to grow denser and how they seem to enclose them in a sense.
Almost like the woods themselves are protecting them from the Black Riders.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like even nature itself is working to cloak them.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I had mentioned earlier that Frodo was, had tramped these, lands and stuff like that.
Yep.
There's a point where he looks like he takes a less trodden path. And here the elves do the same thing. They turn aside from the path. A green ride lay almost unseen through the thicket on the right, and this they followed as it wound away back up the wooden slopes onto the top of the shoulder of the hills that stood out into the lower land of the river valley. And then they start to kind of describe how this opens up and how they go down into it, and they're almost like elevated, and then it's like this three-sided. Do you remember this part where it's like there's like three sides that the woods are pressing in? They can see ahead.
Sounds like where you camped out.
Yeah,
out in Oregon.
Does actually. And
maybe it was a Black Rider, dude.
Yeah,
that you encountered.
Well, here's
for a different time.
Here's something. It reminds me of like this open square patch, right? But the way Tolkien does this is that they say off in the distance you could see the tops of the trees beyond that. So like it was like this hill.
You're elevated.
You're elevated. It was you were going down over this hill.
It makes me think of Mount Pleasant, honestly.
Yeah.
In Lancaster. Yeah, just like this big, almost like a cliff, surrounded, on three sides by the woods, and then there's a clearing, and then you can see a great distance. Yeah. And then it's, then they say, near at hand a few lights twinkled in the village of Woodhall. The elves sat on the grass and spoke together in soft voices. They seemed to take no further notice of the hobbits. Frodo and his companions wrapped themselves in cloaks and blankets, and drowsiness stole over them. The night grew on, and the lights in the valley went out. Pippin fell asleep, pillowed on a green hillock. Pippin's out. No surprise, right? It's just following suit for this journey.
Oh, yeah.
Away high in the east swung Remarath, the netted stars, and slowly above the mists of red, Borgel rose, glowing like a jewel of fire. Then by some shift of airs, all the mist was drawn away like a veil, and there leaned up as he climbed over the rim of the world, the swordsman of the sky, Menelvagor. Can't pronounce that. Envoy, with his shining belt. The elves all burst into song. Suddenly, under the trees, a fire sprang up with a red light. And so this is interesting too, because we're learning about like the gods of Middle Earth,
right?
And we haven't had any kind of reference to that yet. To my knowledge, there's none in the Hobbit, and this is like showing that Tolkien is even this is huge. He's even developing like these gods of Middle Earth, right? It's very like it reminds me of who's the one that with the chariot brings the sun up, during the day, Apollo or whatever.
Helios?
Yeah, sure.
Helios?
I don't know my mythology, but it makes me think of ancient mythology.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
These natural forces that happen, and maybe this is just the description of it. Maybe the hobbits can see it because they're with the high elves, and they can see these people.
Yeah.
When normally you don't. It's just the natural world. Or maybe this is just Tolkien giving us a hint that there is this background that he's going to explore later on. Amazing.
Right. It seems to be like almost ceremonial here, like they were waiting for this moment.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's when the food and merriment breaks out.
Excellent.
Right?
That's a great point too.
That's what it seemed like to me. It seemed like they were all kind of laying in wait, because I was sort of like, what's this like little respite that they had right before? Like it just feels, it's planned. It's almost like it's a time where they know to stop and wait and rest and observe this.
Yeah.
Totally. This happening. So
totally.
At the south end of the Greens, at the Greens ward, there was an opening. There, the green floor ran on into the woods and formed a wide space like a hall, roofed by the boughs of trees. There, great trunks ran like pillars down each side. In the middle, there was a wood fire blazing, and upon the tree pillars torches with lights and gold and silver were burning steadily. So, they go in here and they
sounds like a nice place.
It sounds really good. And actually, I think in one of my the books that I bought, where I was looking at like the artwork and stuff, I think that's a famous sort of
got an illustration of that
depiction of Woodhall. So
that's awesome.
That's out there. We'll see if we can find that later and
post
again,
it on Facebook. And just the way elves work with nature, right? They incorporate nature into where they dwell. They're harmonious with it. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, it kind of goes on here at length, and they talk about not really remembering the foods that they ate. Like,
I have this underlined, and I said, to make a hobbit forget food.
Right. Yeah. Right. We're thinking the same thing, because I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's how mesmerized they were. Plus, combination of being tired on this journey, wore out emotionally up and down, and then you've got these elves.
But to not even remember what food they had.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
That's huge.
Right.
But not like it was bad food. They just don't remember it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. That's crazy.
One part way back, we when Frodo had hailed them originally, he spoke in their tongue. It was neat that Gildor had said, oh, watch yourselves, fellas, because this guy knows, our language. So, we can't
careful
get
what you say.
Right. We can't get anything by him.
Yeah.
So, and here he's sitting around what he is. They're kind of focused on Pippin and Sam are focused on like maybe the foods, maybe the merrymaking and stuff like that, and the songs. But Frodo is listening to the words.
Yeah.
What is everyone saying?
He's trying to learn from the situation. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
then he and Gildor have this conversation.
This is big, and this is probably going to be like our last big talking point here is the conversation with Gildor, which is super important. I mean, Pippin has fallen asleep, and Sam's
curled up at Frodo's feet, falling asleep.
He's right.
What a faithful friend, man.
Fallen asleep.
Right.
He's listening.
Ears still on.
So still dropping eaves.
Elven-like ears, I might add.
Right. Yeah.
Dropping eaves.
So first thing that Frodo wants to know, he says, "Tell me, Gildor, have you seen Bilbo?"
Yeah. Again, on the front of his mind. Wouldn't you think? I mean, I guess you would still be thinking about the person that has meant most to you, but. Man, I'm thinking you got bigger problems than worried about where Bilbo is. But still, Bilbo's on the forefront of his mind. Is Bilbo okay? Like, did he... I mean, I'm sure he's worried about him. Did he run into these dangers on the road too? Like, because he had this ring too, and he had that...
That's right.
Yeah.
Frodo really doesn't know.
And the enemy knows Shire Baggins. Right. That's Bilbo too. So...
Yeah, I don't know that Frodo altogether puts that... I think he does.
Yeah.
But he keeps thinking of Bilbo.
Right. So maybe it's out of the Shire. Right.
But right. So I don't know.
Twice.
Yeah, twice he's seen him.
Twice.
Yeah. So and he doesn't really tell him much after that, does he? He just kind of like leaves that out there. So but he notices that he goes, "You don't ask me or tell me much that concerns yourself, Frodo."
Yeah.
You know, he says, but I already know a little, and I can read more in your face. So it just shows you the intuitiveness, right?
Yeah, and the wisdom,
right, of the elves.
Yeah,
I mean, they've heard a lot. They're keeping eyes on him,
and I think that's why they scare me.
Yeah,
is because they're so piercing. Like, and you can't lie to an elf. Elves, they know what's going on.
Absolutely.
The perception is crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So he sort of asked him. He says, "You're leaving the Shire, and yet you doubt that you will ever find what you seek or accomplish what you intend."
Yeah.
And Frodo's kind of freaked out, like you are, right?
Right.
It is, said Frodo, but I thought my going was a secret known only to Gandalf and my faithful Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He looked down at Sam, who was snoring gently. Good job, Sam.
Yeah.
So the secret will not reach the enemy from us.
Kind of putting his mind at ease there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it does it, but it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Which is again
what elves do.
What elves do, right?
Answer both yes and no.
Right. The enemy, said Frodo. Then you know why I'm leaving the Shire. And then, interesting, I do not know for what reason the enemy is pursuing you, answered Gildor, but I perceive that he is strange indeed, though that may seem to me, and I warn you that peril is now both before you and behind you, and upon
on either side.
Cool.
So, thanks, man.
Wow. Hope you're having fun hanging out with the elves
right.
For tonight.
Yeah, you've got one safe night.
Right.
Yeah.
And
then he says, what are the Black Riders?
Right.
Gandalf's told
this goes
you
back
nothing.
to what you had said
right.
about Bilbo. And I was thinking, why is he asking about Bilbo and not concerned about his own self?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know what these Black Riders are.
That's true.
And Gandalf didn't want to tell him these things, or too much.
Right. And then, now you have this question too. This deeper question is, because every time we find out more, it freaks us out more. So that's the question. But ultimately, it makes our heroes more prepared, and it makes them stronger. So you have, even within the Shire, right? The Shire is relatively ignorant, and the outside world is knowledgeable about what's going on. So there's this whole underlying debate and question too: which is better? Is it better to stay ignorant? Is it better to only know so much, or is it better to learn as much as you can, even though it might scare you more and put you in more danger because it will make you stronger?
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a really good point. I mean, so so they don't. So he does not explain to him about the riders, and as Gandalf told you nothing. What does he say here? Nothing about such creatures. Then I think it is not for me to say more.
Yeah.
At least terror should keep you from your journey, for it seems to me that you have set out only just in time. Which is so true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So true. So,
because you can't stay here or turn back.
Right. The Shire is no longer any protection.
Not safe.
You. Right.
And it's so cool how you see the respect that the elves have for Gandalf too. Mithrandir.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They know that if Gandalf didn't tell you, not my place to tell you. Mm-hmm. So the high elves bow to Gandalf. Right. It's just amazing.
Yeah. He's a keeper of.
Yeah.
So, let's see. He reveals his plans to Gildor. So, he's, kind of does give him a little bit more of what he's supposed to do. And I think, he can trust Gildor, and he's called elf friend and things, knows that he's looking out for him, and knows he's trying to get to Rivendell now. So, which is a good plan. Gildor encourages him. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the place to go. Why don't they take him?
Maybe they feel like it's not their fate. It's not their job. I don't know, dude.
I just kind of wonder because, did Gandalf know that that these were ring wraiths after Frodo, and all that good stuff? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I thought there was an interesting point too, that Gildor says. Frodo says, "Can a hobbit walk from the water to the river in peace?" But Gildor says, "It's not your own Shire. Others dwelt here before hobbits were, and others will dwell here again when hobbits are no more.
Right.
The wide world is all about you. You can fence yourselves in, but you cannot forever fence it out.
Right. Yeah.
So interesting. So he's pretty much saying, hey, the Shire is not, it's not this little haven. It'll be affected. It has been before. It will be after. Just the vision that the elves have, that really highlights that they know what has happened and what will come to be.
Right.
And that's got to be unsettling for Frodo too. Like, okay, well, the Shire is not protected now. So the thing that I'm going to try and ultimately protect, no guarantee that I'm going to be able to do that.
Well, I think he thinks he's safer here for a while in the Shire than he actually is.
Yeah.
And he's realizing right away that he's not safe here.
Right.
Like he once thought that he was. This is your home court. This is your home turf.
Yeah.
And you're outmanned here essentially. He doesn't even really realize it.
Right.
You know, and Gildor's kind of saying that. So
right.
And then, you know, Frodo goes on to tell him that he was basically expecting Gandalf for many days. He was supposed to have come to Hobbiton at his farewell party.
Yep.
That didn't happen.
Yep.
Gildor was silent for a moment.
Yeah.
I do not like this news, he said at last. That Gandalf should be late does not bode well.
I love this. I had this on our line too.
Yeah. But it is said, do not meddle in the affairs of wizards, for they are subtle and quick to anger.
Yeah.
The choice is yours to go or wait.
Yeah.
So,
it's also said,
yeah, go ahead.
Right, by Frodo, go not to the elves for counsel, for they will answer both yes and no, or no and yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it indeed? Laughed Gildor. So I love that elves are kind of humanized here.
Yeah.
They have a sense of humor.
They can laugh at themselves.
Right. They can joke around there, but I think sometimes the way they've been presented is not having that kind of, like, they're serious all the time.
Right.
And so this is cool to see.
I like Gildor for that reason because
Love Gildor.
when he first meets him, he laughs.
Yeah, he does.
They're happy to see him.
Right.
This is odd.
Yeah.
You know, and then they can even poke a little fun at him, but really they're fine. They think this is interesting.
Yeah.
It's almost like a facade. It's like, hobbits are dull and boring, but they're all kind of like, this is going to be fun.
This is going to be fun. Right. We're going to get them drunk.
Yeah.
Elves seldom give unguarded advice, for advice is a dangerous gift, even from the wise to the wise, and all courses may run ill. Mm-hmm. So interesting how he's almost saying, like, yeah, advice can almost be overrated. It's people. I think people think of advice as being something safe, something that you can count on, and so he's turning that on its head here and saying it's dangerous, right? Even from people who are wise to other people that are wise, it can go awry.
Right.
That's fascinating. I've never thought of advice that way, because advice can be misleading. Because advice essentially shapes which way you're going to go. Mm-hmm. Right. When someone gives you advice, or when you seek advice, you want to know what path to take. And so that's someone's direct influence in your life. And if you take that advice, they've had a hand to play in shaping your path. And so it's the elves saying, like, taking a step back and realizing, hey, maybe this isn't our job to have you know what I mean?
Right.
Interesting. Very cool.
Yep, absolutely. And then clear up to the end, Frodo is still seeking that advice, and Gildor is reluctant to give it to him, and he's also seeking, like, he's hoping that advice will bring comfort,
encourage,
right?
Yeah,
and encouragement, and Gildor just really can't do that. You know, and he's inquiring about those Black Riders. At last, he's like, "Why won't you tell me?" And he says, "Is it not enough to know that they are servants of the enemy?"
Yeah,
right. I mean, that ought to be enough.
Yeah, you don't need to know anything else, right?
Flee them. Speak no word to them. They are deadly. Ask no more of me. But my heart forebodes, ere all is ended, you, Frodo, son of Drogo, will know more of these fell things than Gildor. So
that's crazy to think about.
Yeah,
he's going to know the darkness more intimately than a high elf.
Oh yeah, good point.
Like, and I wonder how that makes Frodo feel. Is he astonished by that? Is he frightened by that?
Right.
Is he empowered by that? Does he find courage in that? I would find courage. And Gildor has a great line. He says, courage is found in unlikely places.
Yeah.
It's awesome. He says, be of good hope. Sleep now. In the morning we'll be gone. But we will send your messages through the lands. The wandering companies shall know of your, and the wandering companies, I'm guessing those are other elves that are making their way through.
Companies.
Yes. Yeah. Shall know of your journey, and those that have power for good shall be on the watch. Again, here's some hope. It's all this. It's like all these chapters are front loaded with darkness, and at the end there's this glimmer of hope, right? That there are other powers out there for good that are watching out for him. I name you elf friend. There you go.
Right.
And may the stars shine upon the end of your road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially it. I think it's neat that he has a dreamless sleep.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I almost wonder, like,
he has many.
He was in a dream enough when he was awake.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Well, and then after this, he has dreams that are very vivid and telling, and almost like he sees things across Middle Earth that
night terrors.
It's intriguing.
That's what Ezra has every night.
I have night terrors. Yes. So
I think we kind of worked in all our cool connections there, man.
Yeah, I think we did too.
I mean that was a great.
I like just the imagery, right? I love how he can paint a picture. I mean, don't forget the sniffing. I can smell things in this chapter, right? Even though he's really playing on your visual, like sights and things that you see, but you can hear sounds.
Yeah.
You know, the rustling of the grass when they leave. You know what I mean? It's like you can hear sounds, you can see these sights, you can smell things.
You're an observer more in this chapter.
Yeah.
You're not participating in so much. I mean, at the end we get a good deal of dialogue and insight, but a lot of it is just you're out there, you're taking it in with them. You're, like you said, you're smelling the smells, you're seeing the sights, you're eating the grub, you're sleeping in trees.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Captivated by the elves. You're in a state of wonder and in a state of fear with the Black Riders. So yeah, I think this is easily the most different chapter so far, and it's setting the tone for kind of what this adventure is going to be.
Right.
You know, very different from chapters 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah, we gotta dig our way out of the Bywater Post.
I know.
Like we said, snowed under.
I know, we are snowed under.
We've got more to read here.
And guys, by the way, that our format there was a little bit different than what we normally do. Just so you guys know, it was just kind of it was longer, but yet it's shorter. I mean, in the sense that we just kind of wanted to read through some of that with you guys.
We didn't really take notes on this one.
No, we had a couple bullet points, but we really did not have. Or I had blocked up some paragraphs for us, you know, along the way. But we really wanted to just kind of go through it together, Lane and I.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of hash it out.
As they did in the chapter.
Right.
Yeah.
Very
we were out on the road.
Right.
Yeah. We had a lot of stuff underlined in our book. So if you're watching the video, you'll see us. Our books are right there the whole time. We barely looked at our computer screen.
Right.
And that's where we wanted to stay in the text more on that one.
And from time to time we may do that, but for the most part, you know, we'll revert back to our other format where we basically we'll pull out like real significant. There wasn't a lot of there was the good conversation, the good dialogue there with Gildor, but we'll have not once we get to the old Tom Bombadil here.
Dude, and then the Council of Elrond.
Oh my god,
that's gonna have to be 3 podcasts or something.
That's gonna be unreal.
And so like there was more danger in this chapter, but not as much evil. Right there we were unpacking a lot of stuff the last 2 chapters, and it wasn't necessarily as dangerous. We were in the Shire the whole time, which felt safe at that time, even though we know now it probably wasn't. Right. At least towards the end.
Yep.
But in this, we were in more danger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but less.
But
depth, I guess. It's more immediate. It was right in front of your face. Yeah.
Our characters aren't as fearful. Maybe Frodo is, and that's sort of like easing us into this, right? Yeah. The more they become aware of this. What's going on? The stakes rise and rise and rise. It's a really good. It's well paced.
And again, and again, Tolkien like he does with the introduction of characters through the Ivy Bush, and characterization in the Green Dragon in chapters 1 and 2. We're experiencing it as the hobbits do. He's not telling us all this backstory before. He hasn't told us what Black Riders are yet. He had that chance with Gildor, and he had Gildor respecting. What Gandalf foresaw in his caution in telling Frodo too much, and so we're kind of being left in the dark at some points as well. So we are literally, a hobbit on this journey with him, or a traveler on this journey with him. It's brilliant how he's done that. because he didn't have to do it that way. It's pretty awesome.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so are we good to move on to Bywater Post? We're almost done.
Bywater Post.
Right?
Let's get some letters out.
All right,
Let's read,
cool.
or read some of these letters, I should say.
So this is pretty cool. This is if you guys want, these are just comments we have on Facebook. We got reviews on iTunes. We've got just different messages and things on our Facebook. So I have first Mary Holcomb.
Yep.
Okay. So she left us a comment and said, last night, as I was in bed getting ready to sleep, I listened to episode 1. I love your enthusiasm and the way that you talk to each other and / us, right?
Yeah.
Which
is great because we hate each other.
We hate each other. So yeah.
Jerk.
I've been reading Tolkien since 1970 and reread it at least every 5 years. Lately, I've been listening to the trilogy as I do my chores, drive my car, and as I go to sleep at night. I find that Rob Inglis, is that it? Yeah,
I think so.
Is a great narrator, and he is actually.
Yeah.
I listen to it as well. Also, while listening, I've been watching Peter Jackson's movies, the extended DVD versions, which I bought as soon as it came out. Awesome. The appendices and commentaries are so inspiring. I live in a place that has a Tolkien appreciation.
This is amazing.
This is so cool.
Mary, we got to come visit you.
Right.
We're going to come see you in California.
Yeah. A road called Troll Ridge and another called Hobbit Hill.
Are you kidding me?
Right. Yeah. A cafe called Elevensies, etc. So there's more. I mean, is there other?
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to listening to your podcast and being a part of the book club community here. It gives me great hope to find enthusiasts and to keep the magic going. So
yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
love that. And actually, we corresponded comments afterwards. Found out she actually, I think she was. I'm going to misquote it now, but I think she was born in Ohio, Cincinnati.
Yeah, she was.
Moved when she was young out to California, but she said she asked if we were Shire born. So it's so cool. Like that's sticking. Ohio is 20 years from now, Ohio is going to be known as the Shire.
Right.
Yeah. That's our goal. That's our goal. It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah. So here, let's see who else I have. I've got Jessica
Baziak. Jessica
I'm
B.
Really glad
Jessie B.
I'm really glad you said that before I did.
What were you going to say?
Let's not go there.
Bazooka?
Come on now. Jessica, we're going to need like a little
pronunciation guide.
Yeah.
She says it's kind of our fault. We have pretty easy names.
Yeah. Urza Crick.
Yeah. Line Smythe.
Right. Easy going.
They're not real hard.
Right.
We're simple.
She says, here we go. Hey guys, I'm sorry I'm a little late to the party. Just wanted to let you know that I got a little turned around here in cyberspace on the Book of Face.
Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Had me there. Just so as you know, there is another Lord of the Rings podcast that sounds so familiar. Followed them by mistake. That happens.
Nothing new under the sun, right?
Right.
In terms of names. I
right.
mean,
Amen.
Yeah.
Right. So anyways, she goes on to say, great episode, guys. And by the way, if you guys have made that mistake, no big deal. They're good folk and things. Yeah. So it is what it is. But
listen to both.
Yeah. Listen to us first.
Right. Yeah, of course. But you can't get too much Tolkien.
I'm just kidding. That's so true. She says, great episode, guys. I'm listening with my fiance who said that he had finally found his obsession.
That is awesome.
Right. The Lord of the Rings.
I loved hearing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're enjoying listening and rereading the series with you. Keep up the great work. Can't wait to hear the next episode. So
love that.
Yeah. Super awesome.
Love that. Well, we can't wait to hear from you guys again. That was great, Jessica. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
You got Jake next?
Yeah.
How do you say that last name as?
Hodgson.
Dang, bro.
Did I get it?
Call you Mr. Oxford Dictionary over
there.
Terrible.
Guys, one thing you'll learn about is I'm terrible at pronunciations and different things.
Ez thinks he's terrible at pronunciations. He's actually a wizard. He's a whiz when it comes to pronunciations.
So whatever I say,
dude, can you stop playing footsie with me, please?
That's not me actually anymore.
He's rubbing his foot up my leg.
There's someone else in the room. Is this how?
It's a black rider back there, down there.
Is this house haunted?
That's a different podcast, man.
Okay.
That's a different podcast.
That's the appendices.
I've never gotten real quick before you get into Jake's beautiful message to us. No, never. I've only had positive vibes here. I think maybe if something lives here, it's a friendly spirit. Casper.
Okay. So Jake says, "Hey guys, I'm Jake, a music production student from Bristol, England.
Oh, this is awesome.
This is cool.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Just listened to both your uploaded podcasts and loved them. Thought I'd share my Lord of the Rings story with you. The Fellowship came out when I was 5. I saw the trailer, but wasn't allowed to watch it until I was around 7, which felt like a million years. But I remember my dad coming home one day with it on VHS. Let's go.
Yeah, baby.
And once I saw it, I was hooked. It was honestly the most incredible film I had ever seen. Over the next few years, my room slowly turned into a Lord of the Rings shrine.
Love it.
With posters, toys, models, swords, basically anything you could think of from Middle-earth. My friend next door was a fan too, and we used to run around in his garden and reenact scenes from the films with toy swords.
That's awesome, dude.
Right. So
I love that.
I've also always been a big fan of nature, and I'm sure that stems from the incredible New Zealand landscape from the films. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Was there more? I think there might be more. On top of that, being a musician, the score had a big impact on me. I regularly listened to it on my way to university and when I was out for walks. Lord of the Rings has shaped my life in a massive way, and although I've always been a huge fan, this podcast has properly got me back into it. Wow.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
so awesome.
We're honored, man.
Yeah.
Glad you're with us.
You guys have already done an amazing job and have analyzed it in a way that I didn't even know was possible. Thanks so much, and keep up the good work.
It's probably because we're so demented.
Well, that's it's
just our
for sure.
twisted,
Yeah.
Call us old man willows.
Yeah. Right. No.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Jake,
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you for sharing with that. Sharing that with us.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. We got to hear some of his music sometime. Speaking of music, real quick, I want to thank my cousin Chad Hoffert.
Yeah.
Who created an intro and an outro for There and Back Again, the Patreon series about it's the New Zealand travel pod, pretty much. So I want to thank him for that. That's awesome. He created some really cool music that we're using on that Patreon series.
Right.
So really, really cool. Just on the note with the music. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, is
my
your
phone's
phone
actually not dead.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when
Apple's
it dies,
being kind to me.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother. So I have a review that Daniel Couts left. I went to college with Dan. Awesome guy. Great dude. He gave us 5 stars. Very kind, sir. Thank you very much. He said, I'm loving this podcast. It gives me an excuse to jump back into Tolkien and Middle-earth. I've started reading through the books again to follow along with the podcast. I love how in-depth the conversation is and at the same time lighthearted. I have already started checking the feeds almost daily to see if a new episode is downloaded. Wow. That's beautiful, and I can relate to that. Whether you are a fan of the books or the movies, Lane and Ezra's knowledge of both mediums will keep you engaged. So excited to keep listening to my new favorite podcast. Dan, thank you for that review and sharing your words. The reason we're reading these guys is not to like toot our horn or toot the show's horn. It's literally to give you a shout out back because you're taking your time to encourage us. And not even just us, it's everyone who's in this book club with us, a part of the podcast with us. Those words are for everybody, because this is our podcast, and that's the God's honest truth. The reason we're sharing these, we want to give you recognition for being a positive person, and also we want you to be able to hear each other's voices. Maybe you're not on the Facebook page, or maybe you're not checking the iTunes reviews. You deserve to hear each other's opinions on what's going on too. So love
Absolutely.
it. Love it.
Yeah. All right.
You gonna do my mom as?
Wow. Yeah.
In your words?
Wow. That.
What a weirdo.
Actually, I can't even find where.
So I'll do it.
Love you, Mom.
Yeah, my mom's amazing. She's it's so cool. I asked them what they thought about the podcast, and they were like, "Oh, it's so cool. We love it. We actually want to I don't think my mom has ever read Lord of the Rings. She's read The Hobbit, and my dad has read Lord of the Rings, but it's been a while. So they were like, we actually want to get the book and read along, and I was like blown away by that. That means the world to me. So thanks, Mom and Dad. I love them. They're
good people.
Yeah, the best parents.
Really
the only
are.
parents that I could have ever had, and I don't deserve them at all. So she just left a 5-star review. She's so cute, and then she just put as a comment, she said, love the podcast, and you guys too. So that just made me feel really good. That's nice. And then I've got another college friend, Val Homan, who left one. Val is awesome. We had a lot of great conversations, had a lot of things in common, fantasy genre, weird accents. She does a great Sean Connery. And we talk about a vodka martini shake, not stout. And pussy, calling people pussy. So she, we would literally have conversations where we were Sean Connery over and over again, which is ironic because Sean Connery almost played Gandalf, so that's kind of cool. So she just actually shared a view of chapter 1 from episode 2 that we found very interesting. It's just another cool way when you guys share your reactions to rereading these chapters or your initial reading of these chapters, how it I don't know, just builds in our mind and widens our view. It's just cool to see people's opinions because we all come at it from different angles. So she said, so glad to listen to episode 2. I've been waiting. I especially appreciate the in-depth look at Hobbit culture, and don't we all? Oh, it's nice to know that there are others in this world that love the in-depth culture of the Hobbits. I often wonder if Tolkien's reverent treatment of Hobbiton, as well as the many times his characters harken back to their memories of home, was influenced by his own wartime experiences. There are definite parallels set up between British soldiers in a foreign land and our intrepid hobbits. I think maybe Val needs to come on the show. That's beautiful. Well, and in a way, I hadn't necessarily thought of it before, and it just opened. I felt like my mind was opened to a whole new cortex was just kind of opened up. I think there's more blood flowing in my brain now.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you, Val. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks, Val. I mean, one thing that Val kind of, I don't know, like just made me kind of think of this, right? I like when after we go over a chapter, right? Yeah. So we've just gone over Three is Company, chapter 3. You know, if there are things that you send into the Bywater post that aren't like personal stories or you know, telling your Tolkien story, what have you, and it's more directed towards the chapter, we might have to move some of that stuff as like under our recap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be kind of cool to kind of,
cool.
because we're thinking back on that chapter.
Reflections in Galadriel's Mirror.
Okay. Lane, I don't know how he comes up with just...
That one's not great.
It was pretty good for on the spot.
Thanks, babe.
You know? Yeah. Thanks, Dad. But, you know, so, I mean, do you agree? Like, I think that...
Oh, I absolutely
to have
agree.
those back under the recap, maybe. So if you have
almost an extension of the thread, the episode thread.
Exactly.
Just bring it to the podcast.
Because I think it's good. Go back. Did we say something wrong? Do we need to correct something? Do we miss something? So yeah, I've always said throw that in as Bywater post, but maybe we do a little Bywater post in the beginning and a little Bywater post at the end.
Like that.
And really we just kind of divide the two and we say here are your
morning route and an afternoon route.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. So, anyways, I thought that'd be a cool idea.
I love that. It's a great idea, man.
All right.
How about some strawberries with cream?
Wow, you can.
So kind of this one's random, guys. This one's just random, but that's what they're supposed to be. We were just kind of thinking about Middle Earth in the sports world.
Oh, is that what we were doing? Okay.
What were you gonna do?
I have no idea.
I guess that was what I did. How about you come up with your own thing then? So I love rugby. Rugby is my favorite sport. I actually play on a what's it called? An amateur, just social club in Lancaster. We're called the Men of Stone. Pretty awesome.
Yep.
Love the sport. Love the camaraderie that's formed, the brotherhood that's formed. It's the best sport in the world. If you're not a fan of rugby, go get into it. It's just the best. I can't say enough good things about it. And I'm doing a really bad job of expressing myself right now. Oh, dude, that's awesome what you just typed. So I was thinking about, so in rugby, the most popular form is 15s. It's rugby union. There's also rugby 7s, but 15s is the best. And I was watching The Hobbit the other day, and I was like, hang on, there's 13 dwarves, there's a hobbit, and there's Gandalf. That's 15. That's a full rugby squad right there.
Right.
So I'm just thinking the Hammer of Thorin Rugby Club. I'm thinking like
that's pretty sick.
I think you got Bilbo Baggins playing scrum half. I think you got Thorin Oakenshield probably playing 8-man. I think you got I don't know. Gandalf's got to be in there somewhere. He might be the fly half running the show. Yeah. I don't know who the hooker would be. Maybe probably Bomber. Bomber would be your hooker. That is an actual position.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm
look at me like
trying
that.
to be immature.
It's
okay.
So yeah, the Hammer of Thorin Rugby Club.
That's awesome.
I think it'd be pretty sick. I might even actually kind of put them all into positions, and maybe we could post that on Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
Give them jerseys or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
In all our spare time.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I think if I had to, you were just talking about sports teams. So
I like that.
I don't know. Ignore the other two. I was just kind of rambling here. But what I'm thinking is, I would like to take a Hobbit hide and seek team versus maybe an Elven hide and seek team.
Oh my gosh,
who would win?
It'd never end.
Because I think it would be awesome, right?
No one would ever win.
Right.
They'd just be hiding forever.
Right.
I love that, dude.
Yeah, is it tag and go? I mean, there's a lot of rules we'd have to get into.
Yeah.
I mean,
you'd need some officiating.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah,
you would. So
I think you got to share the other two too.
Oh, I was just kind of making fun here. A Hobbit high jump team, a Hobbit basketball team. And I'm just listing off stuff on the fly here.
Because they're short.
Because they're short. Sorry.
You ever heard of a little guy called Muggsy Bogues?
Yeah, I have. Actually, I was thinking how hilarious it would be to coach up a Hobbit. Wouldn't
Muggsy have to be the coach? He'd have to be the coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Got a Hobbit team.
Yeah.
What would you call them?
I have no idea.
The Baggins Ballers?
Yeah.
Bungos.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
We'll come with the names later. But
Samwise Slammers.
Jiminy Christmas.
Not bad.
That's not bad. Yeah.
Not great.
But you could do better. Okay. It's strawberries with cream. So just some randomness there. Boy, it is late. Just so you guys know. I mean.
What time is it, Ez?
It is.
We're approaching the witching hour.
We really are.
It's almost 3 o'clock in the morning.
Your wife is going to kill us.
No. She's good.
I love her
when
so
he's
much.
asleep.
Just so you know.
I know. I do too. Tell me about it.
So.
Yeah.
I just told everyone on our podcast that I love your wife.
Well, I think everyone loves my wife.
It's true. So
I mean, how could you not?
Right.
She's perfect.
I know.
So, yeah.
So here we go. It's time to share the load. We always do at the end of our
share the
episodes.
The load.
So just again, we always kind of throw this out there for you. We want you to join us on Facebook. We post a thread there where we kind of house our book club, and we like to continue the discussion about Chapter 3. And again, some of the things that you mentioned in those comments, maybe I'm not quite sure yet. I'm kind of thinking through this here and how I can integrate that thread conversation or highlight some of those into our recap. You know what I mean? Because I think it's important. I think it's really neat to go back and address things that our listeners might have caught during the recap. So, okay. So we have, you can follow us there at Up Talking Tolkien on Facebook, Up Talking Tolkien on Instagram, and also Up Talking Tolkien on Patreon. So on Patreon, we have a series, Lane. You tell us a little bit more about our series we have there.
Yeah, it's an ongoing travel pod. So I've been lucky enough to go to New Zealand twice and stay for a decent amount of time both times. 9 weeks the first time, 8 weeks maybe. 9 weeks. It was 9 weeks. And then 7 weeks the second time. Second time was with my wife and was an incredible experience. We got to see a lot of really cool things. But stopped in and saw a lot of locations where the films were made that are just still there. So I cover a lot about if you're a Tolkien fan, where you should make sure you go see, but also just like cool places to eat that we found, great foods that are unique in New Zealand, places to go that have nothing to do with Tolkien too. So it's just kind of a romp through through New Zealand. Yeah, if you have a chance to go, it might be something that you could listen to on the plane ride over, or as you're planning your trip, things to see, and maybe things you would want to steer clear of if you're not interested in.
Here's something, man, just to kind of sit down, and when I have not been there, and so when I hear you talk about, to me, a land far away, right? I feel like I'm listening in at the Green Dragon.
Yeah, we're sitting by the fire,
right? And I'm hearing about some strangers from Mickle or different places, talking about their travels.
Yeah,
and I love that.
Yeah, it is fun.
That's why I think it's cool, and that's why I think it's a neat thing. If you're not going there, cool, it's okay.
Yeah,
but just come listen and maybe.
I never thought I would either.
The pictures.
That's the other thing.
And we're gonna.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna. Find a way to share pictures from each episode too,
right.
Or each chapter.
Let's create like a little, and we can even share them on Facebook too. We could just kind of put on
here. Some of them are up there already. Yeah. Our banner picture is one I took of Bag End. So
actually, what I'll do is maybe we'll take chapter 1 of Green Hill Country, and we'll make that an album on Facebook.
I like it,
and we'll title that.
Yes,
and that way you guys, if it's there for you to look at while you're listening to that podcast,
and maybe also seeing the albums might spark some people to want to listen to the podcast too.
Sure.
So, or that series. So, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and I'd love to share those. It'd be cool.
Cool.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Awesome.
Well, also we have right now we're currently doing a pop socket giveaway.
Dude, the craze.
They're cool.
I'm going to write a review. I want one.
Yeah, they're actually pretty cool. I mean,
they're amazing.
And so what we're doing is basically,
what's it look like, Az? Tell them what they look like.
It's our logo. So if you go to our Facebook page, or if you clicked on our podcast, obviously you'll see our logo there. And we have a nice green, Bilbo's door bag at the door bag end with the golden knob. And then we've got up, on the front of that. And so basically, it's the first one, like 1 through 10 reviews on iTunes. I'll put those people in a pool, and we will randomly select somebody, from that pool of 1 through 10, and then that person will get the pop socket, and then we'll do the next 11 numbers, reviews 11 through 20. Those 10 people then will also be entered in for a drawing, and so on. That makes sense. So
it makes perfect sense to me.
But the idea is to just kind of, it's nice for us. It's nice for us to get some feedback, and it helps the podcast if we can get reviews on iTunes. Yeah. So and I thought it'd be kind of cool. I mean, pop sockets. I didn't like. It's pretty cool. I mean, I have one now, and I'm sort of like, I don't know what I was doing with that one before. So
you were missing out. I actually don't have one. I'm obsessed with them, and I haven't had one, and I've been wanting a reason to get one. And so it's also going to be like our secret sign. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You might be in the subway, or if you live in a city, or in a Walmart if you live in the country, and see someone on their phone, and you see a UP with a green door, and you go, oh. Mm-hmm. And then you might take your phone out and flash yours too. So, we're hoping it might be like a little secret sign that if you're in the club, the sign, right. That's how you get in. Yeah. So, so maybe there's a way to eventually that we can make those available for like if people want to pitch in a couple bucks and buy one. That'd be pretty cool if we could mass order them as a group even. So. Right.
Well, what I was thinking is that we have that Lane does this. He does artwork as we go along in the chapter. So chapters 1, 2, and 3. So our first sort of month and a half. We'll have artwork on patreon.com that we've learned how to kind of print off and ship to you guys. Maybe at some point, once we get done with the draw, I have like 4 or 5 I want to give away. And then after that, we can order some. Those could be part of our giveaway on Patreon. So
I like that idea.
Kind of cool, right?
I like that idea.
Because they're pretty neat. So
they are.
All right, guys. Well, I think we're ready for our fortnight farewell.
I don't want to say goodbye.
Me neither. I know. We've come this far, so.
Yeah, but I mean, like, dude, the back end's just not the same.
Dude,
the shadows are creeping in.
We're in a weird spot too.
It's dim.
I know.
Now we'll be fine. It's just hard saying. I know. I look forward to this time hanging out with you and talking about our favorite books in the world and sharing it with our whole book club. And it's just kind of hard to. We are going to record something fun next.
Yeah, we are.
Do we want to tell them what we're doing next?
Yeah.
So it's 3:00 in the morning. We're about getting ready to do our first. That's some Amanda coming out there. I'm not even from here. But we're getting ready to do a Middle Earth SmackDown. So we're going to take our shirts off and put other shirts on, and drink a little bit of beer. We've worked hard here for the past 7 hours.
Jeez.
Good night. We're going to drink a little bit of beer and get a little silly.
Mm-hmm.
And our first Middle Earth SmackDown is actually who is a greater hero / ring bearer, Bilbo versus Frodo. So
it's going to go down.
that's right. And we don't know who we're defending and who we're, going to be fighting against.
Mm-hmm.
So my ring, my mom said we need to take a picture of it to prove. There's an off-centered line. Mm-hmm. So you'll be able to call small side, fat side, and we're going to flip it. Well, I'm going to do a better job than that. We're going to flip it, and someone's going to be able to call it, and they'll decide who they want. The other person will be left with the leftovers.
Right.
So yeah, and that'll be, we're going to do one out of every 4, right, is going to be on our channel.
Yeah.
And then we're going to make for every one that we put on our channel, we're going to do 3 that are available to patrons on Patreon.
Yeah, just a way to kind of get like a trickle, sort of like, I mean,
and really, so I mean, it really, guys, it'll save you time. Like, if you like the Middle Earth SmackDowns, you'll have 1 available. If you want more, there's a way to get them. If you don't like them, you don't have to get more of them.
Right, and then we're not oversaturating our iTunes feed with stuff that Lane and I just think is fun.
It's fun.
So, and we're going to do it anyway. So, it's sort of like,
it's a good time.
But we thought we'd just sort of like, we toss 1 out of every 4 out there. So, Also, before I forget, we had a poll out about chapter 1.
Do you have the results up?
I have the results here. Yeah. So we had, Lane's, this is kind of funny. He does like these GIF polls.
We're going to do this, and we're going to do this for every chapter too.
Right.
So keep your eyes on the Facebook page. You'll have polls, and this is cool because you'll have your voices be right there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have the results from how did chapter 1 make you feel? So we have the what is this? So like staying in the Shire.
Yeah. How'd you feel like you wanted to stay in the Shire?
Okay. Stay in the Shire. So they're dancing. It's the
Gandalf dancing.
GIF.
So who was it? Was it Emma Rose who had the comment of?
Yeah, what did she say?
Eternal raving Gandalf. That was pretty good.
Never.
And it does. You look at it.
Rave.
He's like it's a shorter GIF loop than the other one with Bilbo. So it's kind of funny. He keeps doing that move.
Yeah. So did you like staying in the Shire or did you like hitting the road?
Yeah.
Right. And 77% of people said they liked staying in the Shire.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're not alone. We've got a lot of company.
No, you want to stay right there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so
absolutely
23%.
23%
felt like hitting the road, huh?
Right.
Well, I guess we're both satisfied at this point because we had our time in the Shire.
Yeah.
And now, with 3 as company.
Absolutely.
And John Ritter and Suzanne Summers and the other girl.
Yeah.
We're hitting the road. Did we mention that they're in this chapter?
Yeah, we did. We already did.
Okay. All right. I didn't know.
Yeah. All right, guys. Wow. Thanks for following along. Thanks for putting up with the different format. It was nice for us to kind of be able to get this done.
It was just kind of a nice little spin on.
Yeah. Just take a little different approach and stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll get back into the regular format in chapter 4. So for now, we have our fortnight farewell.
Yeah, we want to thank you for stepping off the road with us. Our next episode, we'll be digging deep into chapter 4, a shortcut to mushrooms.
Wow, a shortcut to mushrooms. Hunting mushrooms, maybe.
Yeah.
I hope. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. Get that shotgun out.
Right.
Shoot those mushrooms.
If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, or leave a comment, or more importantly, send us a shadow fax.
Lord of all communications. Mm-hmm. We'll see you in a fortnight, and remember, Frodo lives. The beautiful state of Ohio, and a little village called Amanda.
That's right, my whoa, we're starting over. What was I about to call you? This is some great OJ. I was going to say baby or Buffy, or I have no idea what I was going to say. Do not spit that over the computer. I'm sorry. Should we keep going? No, just kidding.
Yeah, it's got to be the cold open, though.
No, we're not doing that.
Oh, wow. Cold open.
God,
That should be a cold open.
Great.
Yeah. I don't know. How is it going, baby?